drivers throughout the 2020 season. It's been one filled with craziness and intrigue, but for the West Bay Napa Auto Parts playoffs, it's been one filled with excitement and dominating performances. Two drivers enter tonight locked in to round two of the postseason, with Sean Brightsman and Dan West Jr. winning their respective races to advance to that second grouping. But for tonight, it could be one of the most pivotal ones of all the postseason. It's short track racing for the second time in 2020 at Richmond Raceway. This time, it's under the lights for the Richmond 200, presented by LSR TV, for tonight's coverage of the Northwest Racing Series and its Cup Series. Good evening and welcome to tonight's coverage here on LSR TV and on CRN Sports. I'm Justin Prinzel. On some of the booth tonight is Greg Rentz. Wesley Etwin will also join us from the pit lane this evening, with Charles Wooden in the director's seat for what's expected to be an intense race tonight. Greg, 200 laps on the docket tonight for these competitors. It's going to be one where if you're in the playoffs or in the best of the rest battle presented by LSR TV, you cannot afford a bad race in this one.
No, it is go time now in the round of 12 for our drivers above the cut line, trying to look into the round of 8. For the drivers below the cut line, trying to get themselves above it. And like you mentioned, the LSR TV best of the rest. You've got the two wild cards out of the way now. It is time to go. The road course last week did a number on several drivers' playoff hopes. You see right there the two drivers in green, Brightsman and West, on the ticker. Those are your two drivers that have already locked themselves in to the round of 8. It is on from now for the rest of these drivers in blue to try to get themselves locked in to the session or to the round of 8. Moving forward, it's going to be a wild one. It all starts here at Richmond tonight. Second half of the round of 12 coming up.
Indeed, in this one, let's take a glance towards those standings. Let's talk about this because Brightsman and West Jr., as mentioned, are locked in. They are 1 and 2 in the points ticker. Then Jeff Stabnow is first on points right now, 22 points above the cut line. Seth Frazier, who is dominant here at Richmond in the closing stages, especially back in the springtime, enters tonight P4. BJ Tidrick, Carl Burke, and Christopher White currently all locked up inside the top 6. Then it gets interesting. Currently, you see Carl Burke right there. He's among that tie, yes. But Dan Lowther only has a 1-point cushion over Courtney Walters for the final spot of the moment after an up and down round for both of those drivers. Stephen Paulson, 14 points back. Ricky Bozier, minus 17. John Ottenbacher, a must-win situation, 48 points back. And then your best of the rest, Joshua Marcy, currently at the top of those standings by 5 points over Tyler Kane, Bruce Lee Weaver, Frank Harris, Wayne Rick, your top 5 there. In other words, for those playoff drivers, you can't afford to have a crash tonight. You can't afford a sub-top 15 finish if you want to make sure you're good to go by the time you get to Charlotte for the cutoff race.
No, you want to have a good race here tonight because now if you have an issue, now you only have one more shot to recover. You want to try to get yourself to Charlotte, North Carolina in a position, Justin, that you don't have to worry about how that race goes. You want to get there and just focus on running your race and your race only, and you don't have to want to worry about what is going on with the drivers around you in the playoffs. For Brightsman and West, they're already in that position. The rest of these 10 drivers, they are trying to get themselves into that position. One guy I'm going to keep my eye on who is one of those drivers trying to get themselves in that position, Seth Frazier in the number 32. He won here in the spring in the day race here when we came back here in May. Looking forward to seeing if he can sweep it here at Richmond and take home another win on the season and put himself in the round of 8. Watching the 32 with Seth Frazier tonight.
I am too at this point. One of his 5 victories on the season, 17 top 10s throughout the campaign. As mentioned, a part of your top runners in the point standings. But want to turn first towards Wesley Etwin because today it's going to be one where a lot of strategies can come into play. With this race and this track known for a lot of attrition and some stop and start moments, pit lane entries and exits and pit strategy could be crucial.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild one. 3/4 mile track here at the Richmond Raceway. It's very unique. You have to drop down below the apron between turns 3 and 4 onto the pit lane. Make sure you control your speeds on enter and exit. And of course, pit stops are a premium. You got to make sure when the cavalry comes in, your crew's ready. 4 tires on, 4 tires off. You move to both sides of the car. Make sure you don't miss your pit stall boxes. I've noticed in a lot of these races in the regular season, you might get away with that, but it's the playoffs, the West Bay Napa Auto Parts playoffs. You make a mistake and it can cost you even more towards the run for the championship. Drivers like Sean Brightsman and Dan West Jr., they really don't care one iota what's happening here. They know that they can do things. They know they can win. They continue that momentum, and we're going to see that. But what I mean by saying that with no disrespect is they know they're going to the round of 8, guys. They've advanced. They've won their races here earlier in the playoffs. So for everyone else, this is going to be the pressure cooker, so you don't have to see the craziness that's going to go on at Charlotte next Monday. It should be a fun one. I'll cover the action of the pit lane here this evening from Richmond.
Thank you very much, Wesley. Before qualifying gets underway, a couple things to note. It's one of the largest short track fields of the entire season. Estimated 34 entrants expected for the green flag today. As well, plenty of newcomers for the Cup cars coming in, but they're familiar names for those who watched the Northwest Tour this past weekend, Greg.
Yeah, several drivers new to the Northwest Racing Series have come over because of competing in the Northwest Tour. Those drivers, just to name a few, would be Ellie Musgrave, the first female driver in Northwest Cup Series history, makes her Cup Series debut here tonight. Brock Denny out of Montana, he made his way up into the top 5 in the race just before going out and having an incident in the race late in the going. He's in the field tonight for his second start in Northwest Cup Series competition. Justin, last time he was here, he got the pole. Tyler Kim making his debut as well in the number 30. He's making his first Cup start, but the big one in this one is Justin, the driver who was top of the charts in practice. He calls Tucson Speedway in Tucson, Arizona, his home track, but he resides in Lake Oswego, Oregon. Therefore, he is eligible. Of course, we're talking about the 16-year-old Cole Raz coming the way in the number 10 car here tonight. Was fastest in practice, making his Northwest Cup Series debut. Keep your eyes on him as well.
That was by about a full 1/10 of a second, in fact. 21.255 was the fastest time in practice tonight. Caden Anderson, Scott Mann, Josh Childress, Chris White was the top 5. 21.399 was the time for Chris White, for reference. But qualifying about to get underway of note. Once again, the renegade as he is, Eric Cheney will have to start at the rear of the field, again qualifying during the driver's meeting because it's Eric Cheney's strategy throughout these races. That means the pole is still very much up for grabs. That it was 0.8 of a second off your top time in practice, by the way. First car on track is Cameron Doyle.
Cameron Doyle out of the Wenatchee Valley Super Oval races in the Dixie and Air Conditioning Thunder cars with a big slide. And I believe he kept it off the wall, but that's unfortunately going to negate that first lap as he brings it to a stop. The good news is he'll be able to tow back and get himself a new car for lap number 2. We watched Bruce Lee Weaver, the Michigan winner. We talked about Brock Denny being the pole sitter there. This driver was the winner in that race. Bruce Lee Weaver on track in the number 40. He was one of those drivers who was trying to get himself into the playoffs, missed the playoffs in that cutoff race at Talladega. With how that went, he goes out and he is gonna hit the wall as well. Same spot that Cameron Doyle had the issue. By the way, knock knock, look who's up front. Cole Raz in the 10.
That's a 21.6 so far. Want to bring up the track conditions because this will explain why you're seeing so many drivers slide around. The in-sim day is September the 12th, but it's a very, very, very hot racetrack and a very slick one. Mostly cloudy skies, very windy as well at 7 miles an hour winds currently gusting towards the south. That is over the front stretch grandstands facing the back straightaway. Cars have been struggling with grip all throughout the night, whether it's been in practice or whether it's what we're seeing now in this qualifying session. Several cars loose. Brock Denny, though, up to the top of the board at 21.5.
Look at that. He made one start on the season at Michigan. He got the pole, and here he is on top of the board again. A 21.515. Stephen O'Hare second quick right now in the number 41. He's got, I believe, Peel's Oranges look on board this week. There's Seth Frazier, the Richmond winner back in the spring, Justin.
In Sim, there is a text chat available. Brock Denny's response to him getting the top time, he doesn't know what he just did. So he's in shock of what he just did for the board. There is still at least 3/4 of the field yet to put in a time, however. As you take a look at Seth Frazier, currently trying to gain a decent amount of time here this qualifying lap to jump higher up the board. O'Hare's already jumped up to second. Seth Frazier needs to improve by about a full second for the pole. It's a 21.7 P6.
14 drivers have taken time thus far. It's a full second from Denny, the 15th now placed Tyler King in the number 44. What a performance by Brock Denny here right now. How about look who's in second now? Stephen Paulison in the number 58, and he's on his second lap. That was the fastest first lap of the day, but he bobbled off of turn number 4. Let's see if he's got it. No, he slows down. 21.589 will be the second lap.
Have to keep an eye on that one as you've seen a bit of that warm-up lap for Dan West Jr. now building up. Now, for Dan West Jr., it's been a stellar year, especially the second half of the campaign. 7 poles. He is the season leader in that category. He was also one of the drivers inside the top 10 in practice, a 21.4. That is the quickest time by anyone so far.
And Dan West Jr., 2 straight wins in the trucks, not only in a row, but 2 wins at Richmond. He's won both truck races here at Richmond this season, including Thursday night. Something about this racetrack here, Justin. He loves this racetrack. He was in contention for the Cup win as well. 21.407. Dan West Jr., the hottest driver in the series right now. His son Devin jumps to second at a 21.510. Look out, West Family Racing suddenly holding up the front row by themselves.
Those LSR TV sponsor machines having a lot of pace to start off the night. The West Family Racing machines 1-2 for now. Drivers still have at least a few more minutes to try and qualify in this one. Jeff Stabnow, one of the drivers, yet to set a time. Garrett Huffine's also yet to set a time. He's back in the field tonight. It's a 21.645 for Stabnow. Compare that to Garrett Huffine's first time around, a 23.7. That's off the mark by about a full second to the next car.
Garrett Huffine's right now, he's just trying to get himself used to these Cup cars at Richmond. Only a couple of starts for Huffine's in the Cup Series this year. He's another driver who focuses primarily on the Northwest Tour. We'll see, and he's going to back it down here before he crosses the line on lap number 2, so that is not going to count here for him. 23.400 will be the lap that counts for Huffine's. As we are in qualifying, 22 cars have taken the time thus far.
Qualifying reaching its final few minutes, and by the way, that time actually improved his mark. Garrett Huffine's, as hard as he tried not to. For BJ Tidrick, he'll be trying to jump up to P6 just like that. It's a 21.5. The pace very strong so far, and many of your playoff drivers are waiting to the final few minutes of qualifying before they put in a time. Several others, though, did have spins. Hayden Plyman had several incidents during his qualifying run. Wayne Rick was towards the bottom half of the pylon, is also on track. Scott Mann yet to hit the track. Just about everyone else has at least attempted a possibility. Tidrick now up to second, though, 21.4 on his second lap.
Watch out, BJ Tidrick up in second. Justin, he's going to run the remainder of the truck schedule as long as he is in the hunt for the playoffs. Reason being, the trucks hit the tracks first. He's not in the truck playoffs. He is in the Cup playoffs. He told me that he is going to try to run the full season. Look who's on top of the board now. Chris White in the 83.
And that's why some drivers like to wait, right, Greg? Because some of them feel like the more you wait, the track potentially can cool on down, also get some more rubber built up. Track did drop 1 degree. Sean Brightsman's goal for that, not so well. He crashes on his first lap attempt. He'll reset for a second.
Brightsman leads the series in wins, coming out to begin his second attempt here at qualifying. 26 drivers have taken time thus far. We've lost a couple here. Tyler Kim having connection issues. He's out of the race for now. And Taco Grande in the number 18, he has fallen out of the session as well. He has just now re-entered the session after posting the 21st quickest lap. Sean Brightsman on track to try to get lap number 2. He's on the clock now.
They still have a few minutes before they have to panic, though. There is still 3 minutes to go for qualifying overall. Scott Mann, Sean Brightsman also now on track once more. We'll see if Brightsman can get himself a good qualifying run. A lot of the times he's won races, he struggled in Q, but gained a lot of time throughout the race. Really loose on his second lap. This has to be a good one, a 21.7. Gets him to P15, around the mark we've seen him in plenty of races. He has a chance for history once again. It's been a storyline all fall long. Next win for him in either the Truck Series or the Cup Series makes him the all-time winner in Northwest Racing Series history.
And Mark Wall's not in the field tonight, so Brightsman has not to worry about in the number 46. All he can do is just focus on trying to win the race. He's very strong everywhere he goes. 27 cars have qualified thus far, several more in the field that have not been able to get a lap for various reasons. James Thurston, one of them, he's pulling into the pits now on his first lap. He's going to try it again for lap number 2. Thurston in the number 2.
Or he's going to at least try and figure out how pit box works maybe here. He hasn't recorded a time. He was one of the final drivers who could set one. Ellie Musgrave, Toby Ritter, Scott Hutchinson, Frank Harris, Scott Mann, Tyler Kim all have not set times under 2 minutes on the board, and at least it looks like James may have almost felt on the track and is maybe trying to settle things down here before he tries another shot here.
Settle his nerves, shake the cobwebs out, and then try one more lap. But he's going to run out of time if he's not careful here, because remember, they advance quickly in qualifying. Tyler Kim has just gotten his car refired, so watch for him to try to hit the track as well. But we're going to see the session advance here shortly, so this is going to be interesting if these drivers can get a time, including Scott Mann, Ellie Musgrave, Scott Hutchinson, and the rest.
And James Thurston has jumped out of the car, so looking like all the drivers have settled things out. Qualifying looks like it's just about wrapped up. A few drivers are taking time for practice before we roll over to race time. For these competitors, once again, they'll be competing here for the Richmond 200 third race of the West Bay Napa Auto Parts Playoffs, located in Silverdale, Washington. You can find them at 9331 Silverdale Way, Northwest. They open at 8 a.m. on Tuesdays. Be sure to give them a call tomorrow morning at 360-692-2924. I'd like to remind you that tonight's action is presented by Walls Beer Co. and by LSR TV for the Northwest Cup Series from the virtual Richmond Raceway. A few moments before we head off to the starting grid, Greg, your thoughts?
Going to be a very fun 200 laps here at Richmond as we watch Frank Harris in the number 11. He's already got a time on the board. He's coming around to complete his second lap. Going to break loose there. Might cost him that one as he goes with 21.894 on his first lap. Good enough for 20th. And qualifying has wrapped up, Justin, so that is it. Chris White has the pole. Looking forward to seeing what happens here for 200 laps, 35 cars in the field. This is going to be a fun one.
Yes, indeed. We'll see how many take the green flag tonight. All drivers are released in the garage area for this evening. It's time to take a look at how they're rolled off tonight. On the pole this evening for the ComServe Wireless Grid, it's Chris White with a 21.377 over Dan West Jr. PJ Tidrick will start in row 2 tonight in the Winston Noble machine, with Devin West starting on the outside of row number 2 this evening. For row 3, it's Brock Denny alongside Josh Childress. He looks to try and carry some momentum from some of his recent performances of late. Stephen Paulison will start from 7 tonight, with James Vining, the Catman, looking to rein in the Cats and use them to celebrate from P8. Stephen O'Hare starts in 9th, while the short track ace and Cole Raz, one of the favorites potentially for tonight, will start in P10, Greg.
Possum, Jeff Stabnow, who led so many laps on Thursday, looks to rebound from the 11th position with Joshua Marcy to his outside in the number 35. He's still searching for that first win. Carl Burke rolls off in 13th, the playoff driver, trying to find himself back in the hunt, along with the winner here last time the series visited Richmond, Seth Frazier, the 32. Winner last week, Sean Breitzman in the 46 with Ricky Bozer to his outside. Breitzman's locked into the round of 8. Wenatchee's Cameron Doyle will start alongside Boise, Idaho's Dan Lowder. Lowder 1 point above the cutoff, trying to hold on here moving into Charlotte next week. Casey Garber and Frank Harris round out your top 20.
21st tonight goes to Caden Anderson, while Corey Walters will have to start deep in the field from 22nd, where the drivers remember among those playoff fights. Roy Taco Grande will try and use the Taco Bell car to charge up to the field, 22 flat in qualifying. He'll start alongside Eric Cheney provisionally. Cheney will get a vended longest line penalty, however. As mentioned, he qualified during the drivers' meeting for about a 10th straight time in as many races. That means Wayne Rick will move up to that spot while Bruce Wee Weaver will start on the inside of row 13. Last drivers recorded time were Tyler Kane, Garrett Huffines tonight. Rest of the drivers set via provisional: Scott Mann, 29th position, Ellie Musgrave, rounding out the top 30 grade.
Rounding out the field will be James Thurston and the 2020 State Line Speedway late model champion for the Coca-Cola late models, Hayden Plybon in the number 57. Keep your eye on him to try to make his way through the field. Your final 3 cars: Scott Hutchinson missed the grid in the number 91. He'll have to start on pit road. Toby Ritter's in the 23, no sign of him. And Tyler Kim in the number 30 will start tail end Charlie on the field. 35 cars in the session. Looks like 34 are going to take the green.
Scott Hutchinson electing to start from the pit lane. Technical issues can confirm for Toby Ritters and Ellie Musgrave for this launch. Those drivers did not make it off the launch for this one. Final pace lap, your keys to victory here tonight, especially since it's nighttime racing rather than daytime racing here at the action track.
Gotta remember, it's 200 laps. Here in the Northwest, in our real life things, the 200 lappers are the big ones. We don't have big race or big money races. We have 200 season here in the Northwest. 200 laps at each short track. That's their big race. Another one like it tonight here in Richmond. 200 laps. You got to be patient in the first half and get ready and set yourself up for a run in the second half, Justin.
Indeed. Drivers all set to go from the 0.75 mile short track based in Richmond, Virginia. 8 degrees at banking down the front stretch, 14 degrees in the corners, 2 degrees down the back stretch. We're all set to go racing. Chris White in control of the field. The green flag's out. The Richmond 200 is underway. Wreck down the back straightaway. Caution is out. Frank Harris and several others involved. And already a quick incident to begin the action. That was all while Dan West Jr. got a better launch on the high side. An interesting beginning to this race at Richmond.
Take a look at the swag replay of what happened here with Frank Harris alongside Casey Garber. Corey Walters, a playoff driver behind him. Caden Anderson and Harris, again, just breaking loose there off turn number 2, where we've seen so many issues already. Getting into Tyler King and a couple of other cars there getting through. There was another car who got a piece of Harris. Didn't see who it was. We'll see if we can get another look at it. But I saw Tyler King possibly get a piece of it. One other one. Let's take a look again. Turn 2 here on this one. We take a look at the drone cam. Of course, all aerial coverage is brought to you by All American Pools.
Some beautiful cameras brought to you by All American Pools. Indeed, as that was a trouble spot. Is car snapping around in corner exit all throughout practice. That collects King and Harris for a first yellow flag to begin the action here. Those drivers will have to likely use a fast repair, if not repair the damage manually. One fast repair available in this one. But for Chris White, not the best of launches, Wesley, but I believe you spoke with him prior to the grid.
I did, because obviously this was a small track, and quick after driver introductions introducing a 30-plus car field, we didn't have chances to grab an interview with him. But, yeah, I'm going to see if I can maybe grab him right now, guys. So just stand by real quick. I'm going to grab him here in the box because he knew I was going to talk to him. Chris White, it's Wesley, LSR TV Communications. You got a copy, bud?
Yeah, go ahead.
So you were the fast qualifier, and again, you were trying to make some type of a run to advance just for a win, because you win, you advance to the next round of the playoffs. You're sixth right now in the seeding. What's your take of this race? And one of the things you were telling me was, hey, we got to be careful. There's a lot of cars here.
Yeah, Richmond's a good track for me. I like it here, but we do have a lot of cars, so just got to be cautious, patience, whatever you want to call it, and we just got to be there at the end, put ourselves in position to win this and go get that win.
Did you think we'd have a caution so fast on the opening lap?
Well, as funny as I thought, so yeah, I thought we'd get some cautions. We're probably going to see a lot of them tonight.
All right, guys, here's the thoughts of this 200 lapper underway under yellow quickly. The driver of the car number 83 entry for SimStar Motorsports, Chris White, ready to go, and he is looking, Justin Prince, for that win to advance into the next round of the playoffs.
Thank you very much, Wesley. And he'll try and regroup after that poor start. He still gets to keep the lead, however. Over Dan West Jr., we'll have to see what happens with the 55. In some cases on iRacing, you can get a black flag by jumping in front of the control car on a restart by more than a car length. Still, though, 195 laps to go this time. The last time this series ran at Richmond was June the 1st for the Cup cars, Greg. Just 4 caution flags in that race, but it did have a green-white checkered finish.
And that was when Seth Frazier got the win, because we all thought that it was going to be a case of write the check to Dan West Jr. the way he was running that race. Unfortunately, an incident coming on the pit road is what cost him that one, and Seth Frazier was able to pull it off and get that victory. West Jr. looking for redemption. He won both truck races here at Richmond this year, and here he is up on the outside of the front row for this restart. Going to be lap number 7 when we take the green flag. Chris White, the pole sitter there, but Dan West Jr., his son Devin there as well. Keep your eyes on West Family Racing, and keep your eyes out for that number 32 of Frazier to see if the winner back on June 1st can make his way through the field.
Frazier will start this one off for the rerun from 13. We'll try it again, shall we? Lap 6 coming to lap 7. The Jimmy Johnson throwback will be in control on the inside. Dan West Jr. on the outside. Green flag and a huge checkup for Brock Denny. Top line held up, third row on back. That allows the move for Paulison to take the spot.
Raz coming as well into number 10 to the inside of Broccoli, as Raz to the inside going to get around Denny, and he's going to try to get Paulus in a 2-for-1 here. Watch out for the master wrench number 10, because he is coming in a hurry, already up 3 positions now from his starting spot in 10th. Make it 4 as he's 6th.
Did you just call him Broccoli?
Yeah, that's his name. That's his nickname. We call him Broccoli. We've called him Broccoli for years.
Good to know. Good to know. We'll see if he can have that healthy nutrition help him complete this pass on Paulison. Yes, indeed is the answer. Right across the nose of Marcy, though, goes Paulison. Marcy, your LSR TV Best of the West points leader, nearly getting hard contact there right in front of a playoff driver to an O'Hare.
Stephen O'Hare in the 41 running the Peels Oranges colors here tonight.
Yep.
Playoff driver, but still searching for that first Cup victory of the season, despite 3 truck wins, Justin.
Or near playoff driver, I should rather say, as the best way to signify that, by the way, is to watch for the blue banners as well on the ticker, but also on the cars tonight. They'll have the West Bay Napa Auto Parts logos on their head banners for the race cars. So once again, blue cars are for playoff drivers tonight. The drivers in green have already secured themselves a victory throughout this season. 189 laps to go next time by for these drivers. Biggest mover, by the way, is Garrett Huffines. Up 6, make it 7 spots. Just pounced on a move on Sean Breisman for 21st position.
Huffines moving up into 21st, but up in front of them, Hayden Anderson in the 37. He is gaining positions. He's up 6 positions now from 21st. He's up to 15th in the 37. Can Stroker get up there and get up to his 2nd Cup win of the season?
That's an interesting nickname as well. But Hayden Anderson nearly had a stroke of luck in that respective race in the spring. 67 laps led in that race. He's one of the quickest cars on the track. Quickest overall is Cole Raz. Back and forth as into the lane goes Tyler Kim. No front nose on the 30, was down to the apron, letting all the leaders go.
I believe Kim was caught up in the incident earlier today. I'm looking at Cole Raz in that number 10 on the back bumper of Josh Childress in the number 97. Kind of funny, when Cole Raz finally made his debut at Josh Childress' home track, Wenatchee Valley Super Oval in the late model, he drove number 97. Now he's chasing the number 97 car to try to get up into the 4th spot. Cole Raz sliding behind him was BJ Tidrick in the 72, who's under pressure from Denny in the number 64. Marcy lurking back there as well. Raz to the inside of Childress, but Childress able to shut the door. They will hang on to 4th and 5th for the time being. Action going on around the track as Anderson is up 2 more spots as he gets around both Burke and Garber. Move Anderson now to 13th.
Well, they call it the action track for a reason, right? Action all over the place here at Richmond. But one of the main things when it comes to this track is many drivers, including drivers in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, will tell you this. It is one of the more technical short tracks in all of iRacing because you need to be perfect on your marks and on your rhythm around the track to be able to save the tires proper, but also continue to gain positions. You have anything that breaks your rhythm or loses a ton of time, you're going backwards down the pylon.
And if you fall backwards like that, it could be a long time for you to recover. Case in point, Jeff Stabnow in the number 24 on Thursday led the first 105 laps of the race as he's going around Tyler Kim now under pressure from Caden Anderson. I'll talk about that in a minute because Wesley and Charles remember it, Justin. These two, the 24 and the 37, they had a run-in at the end of the truck race. The roles were reversed. Anderson was in front of Stabnow, and for 30 laps, Stabnow was doing everything he could to get around Caden Anderson, beating on the back bumper a couple of times, and it ended with a hook in the right rear, and the 37 went head-on in the wall. Does Caden Anderson want some redemption at Stabnow for that? Stabnow said, hey, that was completely my fault. I did not mean to. The question is, what does Caden Anderson think of that?
We'll have to see, and there was a bit of tempers we're hearing involving that one. By the way, down the back straightaway, Scott Mann got doored by James Vining up the track in turn 2. He is now absolutely demolished, and he was not happy on the radio just a moment ago. That was just a couple laps ago in a battle for the mid-pack.
See if we can take a look at the swag replay here. There's Vining, the Catman, in the black and green 30 or 333. Fireball in front of him. Here's the run on man. You see him going around Tyler Kim in the 30 there. Weaver behind it. He had a pretty good view of this. And we'll get a run right there on the outside. Justin, what happens?
See right there, pushes up the track. Man shoved into the wall. Significant damage. Also had contact with the first yellow. But that 333 was just involved in another one. We're back under yellow because the 333 was also collected in contact just as we were showing that replay. So not a good past 3 laps for James Vining. Here's another swag replay, shall we? As he collects with one of the playoff drivers who needed a good run tonight, Dan Lowther.
All right, Hayden Plybon said in race chat as well, he was apologizing for something under caution. We'll have to see if it was this or something else. Here's Vining. I've not seen Plybon around, so we'll have to maybe see if we can figure out what happened with the 57. Oh, Lowther's in front of Plybon up there. This happened up there with Plybon and Lowther. As you see right there, you catch the very end of it. Plybon and Lowther get together. And unfortunately, nowhere, I believe, for Vining to go. We'll have to take another look at that and see if we can pick up either the 63 or the 57 and see what happened there.
Some tempers flaring on the radio from that contact, by the way, as that is going to really hurt the 63 a little bit in the early going. Let's take a look, and you'll watch as they're trying to find their way around Eric Cheney. Then, as they check up here, boop, and bye-bye.
So Dan Lowther, playoff driver, came in just 1 point above the cut line. That's not going to go over very well in that one, as these two have been working together, but pit stops are going on. Our pit reporter, Wesley, he's down there getting details with Lowther and Plybon and company, and I believe he's just come back up and he's got something for us, Wesley.
Yeah, I just checked in with James Vining, and he's going to have to do a fast repair on his car when he comes down to the pit lane. Also checked on Dan Lowther. Lowther might have possibly flat spotted his tires, so have to come back and make a virtual pit stop. It doesn't look like he's got a damage on his machine. He did say Plyban got into him. Plyban did apologize, so there is no harm, no foul. They'll get their vehicles fixed, and they'll get back out on the racetrack.
Thank you, Wesley. Calmer heads prevailing overall once everything's now settled in. But here's the thing. There is mixed strategy because of the time of the caution. That was our longest run of the race of about 15 laps so far. That means 5 drivers stayed out. Chris White, Josh Childress, Cole Raz, Brock Denny, and Caden Anderson rolling the dice and staying out. Seth Frazier, to the surprise of no one, also taking 2 tires as, once again, we only turn 15 green flag laps, give or take, overall on this one, Greg. So there's a chance those tires on the 32 equalize fairly well.
We'll have to see how it goes. I'm very curious of that. We've seen that time and time again, depending on the racetrack, what the fresher tires do. We've seen it where if you get a 3-lap green flag run, you want to get 4 tires because the fall off is that much. Here at Richmond, only 15 laps on the tires. I don't think that's as much of an advantage as you would think. We'll have to see how it unfolds. But again, it all depends on the racetrack.
It's more so, I think, track position too. But keep in mind this. One of the things I was discussing with Christian Schauner, who is now a part of the iRacing staff, but also competed for many seasons in the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series, was the higher the cross weight, the more looser you'll get if you take a 2-tire call. The lower the cross weight, the tighter usually it can be. We're towards the higher end for that cross weight tonight at 57% for the fixed setup. All these drivers will be running. In other words, it's a loose track. Frazier's going to be a little bit more looser for at least the next 10-15 laps until the tires equalize out.
So Frazier going to be the guy to watch on this restart. Lights are out on the iRacing.com Ford Mustang pace car. Chris White has led every lap thus far in his Ford Mustang, paying tribute to Jimmy Johnson. A new contender up front, Josh Childress in the number 97. He is going to go in and come alongside in the Menards Toyota. Here we go. Green flag back in the air.
Back at a racing, 174 laps to go into turns 1 and 2. A great launch for Childress on the high side. Outbreaks Chris White. Just about clears on by into turn 2's exit. But Chris White still has the preferred line. Childress, though, with a better pull, now takes the race lead.
Childress, a pole sitter earlier this season. I believe it was Kentucky that he got the pole. He's going to try to lead the lap. He will. So Josh Childress becomes the second driver to lead a lap here tonight, but Chris White coming back on the inside. 2-time winner. A little bit of a push up the track, not a whole lot. Meanwhile, Cole Raz has gotten through around the third and gotten around Denny, but look who's right behind him. Here comes the Paul Bear Funeral Home Mustang. Seth Frazier, the winner here in the spring, trying to get a run inside of Cole Raz now for the third spot. Frazier and Raz battling it out for third as White goes back to the lead. Childress pushes up the track, and Frazier is able to get a 2-for-1.
Discussions over a potential penalty on the radio. James Viney also now in the out of the race. Blybarn curling now off the racetrack, as you've seen. But already Childress shuffled on towards the back. Those were his first laps since Talladega, just his 5th start of the season. But Frazier's 2 tires are coming. The 4 tires of Dan West Jr. also are pouncing. Down to a 1/10 of a second gap at the front. Frazier to the outside for the race lead right now. He's going to take it away at a turn 4. Dan West Jr. next to pounce.
White fights back on the inside, though. West Jr. right there behind him. His son, Devin, lurking back there in 4th now. He's waiting to see what happens. He's going to take a swipe at it to try to close in as well. He will close the gap in the number 5 as Frazier able to clear Chris White. Frazier led the lap. Now what do the 4 tires do of Dan West Jr.? They push up the track going into turn number 3. So Frazier able to hold steady for a little bit. Winner here in June. Duck down to the bottom does Dan West Jr. He's going to rocket around Frazier for the lead. Oh, but he pushed up the track. Frazier's going to try a crossover off 2.
Good cross. Can't get underneath, though. Checks back up. Really backs it up. Devin West nearly runs him over into turn 3. So just like that, Dan West Jr.'s 4 tires bring himself back up to the front. This is a track position gamble, though, I think, if you're thinking like Seth Frazier right now, because he was still in the back half of the top 10, if not still in the top 15. If he gets a caution after 25, 30 laps and everyone comes in, guess what? He gains a net gain of maybe 10 positions.
And I'll tell you one driver right now who is going to be very, very interested in what happens to the 32 here in these next few laps. How about the driver back in 17th, Sean Brightsman, Mr. Two-Tire Stop in the number 46. He is going to be paying very close attention to what's going on with Frazier in the 32 because he wants to know what the car is going to do on two tires, because we know Sean Brightsman is not afraid to take two tires if he feels it'll work.
It's very hard to pass, mind you, on the older tires here at this racetrack as well, because it's not like, say, a Bristol where you can take fresh tires and try and cut through the drivers, and others you can end up being stuck in some cases. Caution flag is out down the back straightaway, and we're back in a yellow. Yes, indeed. Cheney, 20th position last time by. Take a look at your swag, yellow flag replay as up and down day for the driver with the EOL penalty to start.
See what happened to E-Dog here going into turn number 1. That's Corey Walters outside of him in the Napa 9. And he got a little bit of a bobble. Oh, it broke loose in turn 2. And unfortunately, Bruce Weaver nowhere to go in the number 40. Gets into the back of Cheney and around he goes.
We've already had almost more cautions than the spring race for the Cup Series. Back on our yellow. Split pit calls, by the way. Turn to Wesley because some of the drivers who stayed out the last caution just rolled in.
Yeah, we got guys on the pit lane, and they are making pit stops. We'll see what goes on here is, again, some of these other drivers kind of staying in the front of the field, as we mentioned. But look at now, you got drivers like the Menards entry. He's going to come in. Childress, who was actually up at the front of the pack earlier. Here comes also Paulison. Some others, 4 tires, fuel here in the early going, not even 40 laps into it. And by the way, Caden Anderson now onto the pit lane. One of the things I was talking with Sean Brightsman and Dan West Jr. was about, and I wanted to, oh man, look like Anderson hit a cone coming off the pit lane. Caden Anderson hitting a cone coming off the pit lane as everyone else is exiting off track now as well. But, you know, we talk about drivers like Dan West Jr. And gentlemen, if you remember me, as we have the father-son group out there right now, Dan West Jr. and Devin West. Dan West is already advanced into the West Bay Napa Auto Parts playoffs. You know, he moves into the round of 8. Whatever happens, happens. He's there. Now we see drivers like him still prevailing. They're up in the front. Then you got guys like Sean Brightsman. Let's go and show him real quick, the 46. Before that caution came out, he was mired all the way back to the 16th position. And now Sean Brightsman, after this caution, sits in 23rd. He has struggled since he came off the trailer here in the 46 entry. So Justin and Greg, you got one man with a green bar knowing he's going into the next round, doing well in West Jr. And then you got Sean Brightsman, who looks like he's really struggling here tonight at Richmond. But again, whatever happens tonight really doesn't matter because they go to the round of 8.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Wesley. We'll take a quick step aside. You're watching and listening to the Northwest Cup Series live from the virtual Richmond Raceway on LSR TV and CRN Sports. Stick around.
ETE Reman is the world's best remanufacturer of transmissions for import and domestic cars and trucks. Based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, our customers are repair shops, auto parts stores, dealerships, and distributors. And with 6 nationwide warehouses, we're where and when you need us. So when you're looking for a transmission that is like new, only better, instill confidence and install ETE Reman.
Want to go signal this time by as we get ready to go back racing with about 160 laps to go in this one. Race number 3 of the first round of the West Bay Napa Auto Parts Playoffs for the Northwest Cup Series. Justin Prince, Greg Rentz, Wesley Outland with you, with Charles Wooden in the director's seat on LSR TV and CRN Sports. Tonight's coverage presented by Walls Beer Co. and by LSR TV, your home for sim racing. West Family Racing now in control of the field. They and many others stayed out. Only driver who has not had a pit stop this race so far is Chris White. Dan West Jr. off and away. Devin West on the outside. Loses ground off of the start and finish line.
West trying to close back in under his father. We're talking about Devin in the 5. Does get down in front of Seth Frazier in the 32. BJ Tidrick hanging there in the 5th spot as well, but he's under pressure from Josh Marcy in the number 35. Stab now trying to make his way up as well. Side by side behind him.
A little bit of a bobble for Jeff Stabenow. In fact, behind all that grouping, was able to save it. And these cars have been able to handle the track much more confidently, it seems, now that they're in the race. That can happen at times where in practice you're pushing, you're trying to get everything you can out of the car. Then in the race, everyone settles on in and everyone's more stabilized and more cautious. And in turn, it leads to some of the longer runs we've seen at times tonight.
And that is really helping these drivers get into a rhythm as well. These longer green flag runs, they can get into a rhythm and not worry about constant cautions. They can click some laps away. We saw in our earlier race, we saw several very long green flag runs in it before. At the end of the race, we saw it turn into cautions breed cautions.
Trouble front stretch. More crashing, as this time it's Cameron Doyle bringing out the caution flag. And now we are at that mark and then some from the spring race for the Cup Series.
Doyle facing the wrong way on the one-way in his dry dean entry. Take a look at what happened. Believe that's Cole Raz alongside him. Yes, it is. Casey Garber behind him in the 94. There's Brock Denny. Doyle, just broke loose.
Yeah, right into Brock Denny for the swag yellow flag. A hard crush to the left side for Denny. And we're back in our yellow once again as now rebunt, rack 'em and stack 'em again.
Brock Denny got squashed there, so no more broccoli. That's all summer squash for Brock Denny in the number 64 there. Tough break for Cameron Doyle as well. Was having a very good run. Justin, he has made limited starts here in the series, but when he does, he has been very strong. Some trickery here on pit road by our leader. Looks like one car is coming down that may have been stabbed now.
Yeah, Jeff Stabenow does come in, uses another set of tires, unlimited tire sets for tonight. Brock Denny to be expected taking the damage repair this time. Garrett Huffine, Scott Hutchinson, Scott Mann, Eric Cheney, Cameron Doyle, all in, Wesley.
And Stabenow again on the pit lane in the 24. It has been a dismal playoff so far for the driver in the Cup Series. Right now, he is currently on the points bubble of 3rd. He would transfer into the next round after Charlotte, but of course, he's looking for that win. Stabenow off on the pit lane for tires and fuel. Back down and away. A couple of other cars also made those pit stops, and I'm going to try to check in here and check on Denny in just a second. We'll be right back.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Wesley. He'll be back in just a few moments or so, checking in on the radio. And for Denny, he is now 19th place because of that incident. But what is it about the West Family Racing drivers when it comes to this racetrack? They just seem both very confident here. As that caution came out, mind you, Devin West did take the race lead.
Devin able to get the lead away from Dan. And to answer your question real quick here, Justin, as I believe Wesley Allen may have an interview, they just have been able to turn so much practice at this racetrack. They're able to figure out what the track is going to do here on race night, and they're able to get a grip on the track ahead of everyone else. Wesley, I believe you may be caught up with Brock Denny.
I got Brock Denny in the 64. Hey, bud, we're able to talk with you on the pit lane. How badly damaged is your car? And it looks like it went ahead and did its own virtual fast repair before you were ready for it.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to get a fast repair, so we're going to be coming back through, try to gain some spots back.
What's your take of this race so far with so many cautions and you just being the recent culprit of one?
Well, the first one, we didn't know that tires were that important here, so we stayed out and we got freight chain to the back. So we're going to take some tires every caution now and try to make up some ground.
So every time a caution comes out, gentlemen, it sounds like Brock Denny will be coming down to the pit lane. Brock, why do they call you Broccoli?
Man, that's been my nickname forever. I don't even know. I guess it's just it just goes nice off the tongue.
Are you a vegetarian?
I don't like broccoli, honestly. You got to smother it in butter for me to eat it.
There's broccoli. Brock Diddy, ladies and gentlemen. And I have to say, Justin, I actually think it's just cool that he's got a nickname, because sometimes nicknames aren't, they just don't stick in pavement racing like they do in dirt. But that's pretty cool. Broccoli. He'll be back in racing here in a bit.
Thank you very much, Wesley. We'll see if he'll get to be able to celebrate tonight. He's had some good speed, just not the luck yet for Broccoli. Want to go signal now on the racetrack. Devin West, Dan West Jr. 1-2, Seth Frazier, Chris White in row 2, Marcy, Tidrick, O'Hare, Anderson, Raz, and Childress among your top 10 cars as we get ready to go back racing. 151 laps to go from the action track. Devin West off and away, this time a bit of tire spin. Loses him some ground, still single file, heading into turn 1 over his dad.
I think Dan West Jr. on the outside may have also spun the tires just a little bit worse than Devin, because Devin got a good jump and then slid, but Dan had a kind of a hard time getting going in the number 55, so I'm wondering if he spun the tires as well. We were so focused on the 5 car that I think the same thing happened to the 55. Frazier right there in third, then you got White and Tidrick rounding out the top 5. Tidrick had that great run in the truck race. Well, it was laps. He had a good run going until an incident halfway through the race. Unfortunately, took him out of contention for that one, but it looks like it's paying off here with the top 5 run. Under pressure now from Josh Childress in the Menards entry. Cole Raz right underneath him in the number 10. That car fresh out of the Caden Anderson paint stable earlier today. That car got the wrap put on it and ready to go, and Cole Raz jumping right out on the racetrack in it. First time in this car. That design was just put on the car earlier today.
Tucson Motorsports Inc. driver having a solid run so far. +2 so far. Looking for more laps to gain ground. By the way, BJ Tidrick now already shuffled back to P8 by the exit of turn 2. Behind them, Casey Garber, Josh Marcy's fighting side by side. Also of note, Chris White is still holding on to P4, mind you, with those older tires, surprisingly. Once again, he is the only driver who is not pit in this race. Caden Anderson, though, about to change that. He is your biggest mover at now +17 in the mod on the bottom in turn 1 to make move.
What a move by Anderson in the number 37. As White breaks really loose there off of turn number 2. He's going to lose another spot to Childress in the number 97. Cole Raz right there as well. But going back to talking about Caden Anderson in the number 37, from 21st to 4th, he has had so much speed in his Harvest Chevrolet this season. Only 1 win on the year, but he almost won this race here in the spring that Seth Frazier, the guy in front of him, won this year. Anderson now going after Frazier in the 32 to try to make a move to break onto the podium.
Yep. Chris White currently getting passed by cars on the outside. The tires really starting to fall off on him. But you mentioned Caden Anderson. He is on a little bit fresher tires by about a run. That's about 10, 13 or so green flag extra laps. That's now side by side right now with Seth Frazier up the road to take away P3 into 3 and 4. So Anderson, this may play out well for him. He just needs the laps to continue to tick off for him to continue to try and charge. They are all, mind you, still outside the fuel window to make it on no stop if there is a caution. They need to pit if there is a situation up until about 110 laps to go to make it on the gas.
Anderson, fresh off the biggest win of his racing career about a month ago at his home track, Yakima Speedway, picked up the win in the Pro Late Model race here at the 100 lapper at Yakima Speedway at the Fall Classic. Over 36 cars, 35 in the field tonight. Can Anderson get his second Cup win of the night? He's going after Dan West Jr. for second now. Remember, they were working together a little bit earlier in the year before Anderson, going back on his single car operation, gets around Dan West Jr. for second, setting his sights now on another fellow Legends alumni, Devin West in the number 5. Devin actually climbing back behind the wheel of a Legend for a few races this year in the Northwest alongside of a dirt modified, but these two were always up front nearly every Legends race they competed in with each other. Good to see a throwback to the old days here in the Northwest here on LSR TV with these two.
Absolutely. 22-second flat rather for Kate Anderson, just a couple 1,000s quicker. The Devin West last time buying with the scrap. Couple notes. Scott Hutchinson out of the race. Technical issues. There was also a spin towards the back with Thurston off down the front stretch. He's now been shuffled to 24th as a result. Now with Greg with the real world action, of course, you have a good tidbit with these two in the fights. Who usually does come out on top with these battles?
Well, with Devin West being one of the hottest drivers in Legends for a while, Caden Anderson came away with the big wins of his own, but in races that I witnessed firsthand and got the pleasure to call, most times it was Devin West coming away with the win because he was one of the top drivers in Legends in the Northwest. Caden Anderson right up there with him. West usually focused on the coast as Anderson's going to rocket around him into number 37, move the 37 of Anderson to the lead. West ran up and down the coast, and Anderson ran more in the central inland region. They came together for a few big races a year. Most times it was West coming away with the win, but Anderson did get his victories over West as well. Caden Anderson to the lead now in the number 37, trying to pull away from Devin, trying to get one up on his old buddy in the number 5 tonight.
Yeah, that was a dive and a half after Devin West drifted up the track, nearly hitting the wall down the back straightaway. It's now already a 0.7 of a second gap. He is 0.2 of a second quicker than every other car on the racetrack. This may play out perfect for him. The next car in his strategy is currently Josh Childress, who is still almost 2 seconds behind, and this is the trouble spot. The first car who usually gets to the traffic usually is the one who picks up the most amount of spots in a lot of time. The second car then gets held up behind the older tires and has a very difficult time. Childress and Raz are those cars in that regard right now.
As in the 6th position, trying to close in on Childress, who, by the way, is caught up to Seth Frazier. That's 2 Wenatchee boys in the number 97 and 32. Childress trying to close in on Frazier, as Raz going to the outside, trying to find a way around. Wesley, believe you may have an update on the new race leader.
I do. Got an update on Caden Anderson, the 37 entry. Right now, out in front, got around the West family about 5 laps ago or so, and he says right now the car is strong. He wants to pick off as many cars as he can to put them a lap down and more. And most of all, he doesn't want to have what happened to him in the truck race on Thursday night take place here in this Cup event. Even though he's out of a run for championship in the West Bay Napa Auto Parts playoffs, he would like to make a statement and get a second win before the season's out. A strong run right now, Justin and Greg, for the car number 37 out in front.
Of course, that one coming in a crazy one at Las Vegas, believe it was. 1.2 seconds the gap. Thank you very much, Wesley. One thing to also note is, remember Scott Mann and his troubles early on, Greg? He's up to 9th all of a sudden. Where in the world did that come from?
Took the fast repair and has been climbing through the field ever so slightly. He's another one of those drivers, Justin, on the Northwest Tour. He's a staple of the Northwest Cup Series. I won't call him one of those ones who comes over from the Tour.
Yeah.
But he has been running the Tour this season, and as well, the new for 2020-2021 season, the Development League that the Northwest Tour started, the B League. We run street stocks. We run pro late models is what we call them. The other late model on here, the Chevy Monte Carlo SS. We run legend cars. We run all kinds of different stuff in this Development League. Scott Mann has had a lot of speed in both the Tour and in the Development League. It's transferring over here tonight. He's up 21 positions from a starting spot, 20, but trying to make it 21. But Chris White in the 83. Scott Mann, he's taking what he's learned in the Tour, primarily short track, and he's applying it to the short track here tonight in Richmond, Virginia.
And he's slowly closing in on that battle you just seen, still side by side after a slide from Seth Frazier on the tires down the back straightaway. He and Childress have been near side by side. The more they scrap, the more Chris White and Scott Mann can close in. They will have that broken up, however, just up the road, because lap traffic is now starting to play a factor. And lap traffic management can be very difficult here at Richmond. You want the bottom line normally to make a lot of the moves. You can defend on the top line. However, you have a lap car who factors in and tries to take away that preferred line. It can cause a bit of problems and lose you a ton of time. Wesley, you're standing by.
Scott Mann, you guys were just talking to him. I just went down to their pit lane and got him on the in-car audio and listening to him with the crew, and he was like, I'm doing good. I'm climbing in top 10. I just want everybody to get out of my way. And it sounded like he was kind of rocking to some music. So definitely got some rock music blaring. Strategy, climbing, top 9, top 10 right now. Looking really good in that 90 car. He just says, man, I just want these guys to move. He thinks he's got a quick car in closing.
Well, that's obvious with that mindset, but the cars aren't just going to move for you, Greg. You have to race them because it is a race.
Absolutely, you got to race him. I'm watching the 41 of Stephen O'Hare, Justin. I've been watching him on corner exit primarily. Last couple of corners, it wasn't so bad last time as he was going around Josh Marcy, but as he was trying to make the pass, the 41 of Stephen O'Hare, who's still looking for that first cup win, a couple big slides out corner exit in the number 41. So I'm wondering how abused the tires are on the number 41. Seems like now that things are settling down around him, there's no battle going on. He is able to settle it down, but I'm keeping my eye on him as well. By the way, look who's in front of him. How about the driver who leads the series in victories? Caution is out. We're talking about Sean Brightsman, but the caution is out.
I believe it may have been Eric Cheney in 25th. He lost a lot of time down the back, and without the front nose, that is likely your spot for the swag yellow flag. Take a look at the swag replay. Was closing on Thurston and Walters prior to the caution.
Look at what happened. Walters breaks loose just a little bit. Cheney does as well, and just kisses the wall.
Still enough to shred the entire front nose off the car. And we're back on our yellow after our longest run of the race, about 30 plus laps there. Childress, or rather Cheney, will now be in 25th position. This may have not been what Anderson may have wanted. It's going to be equal tires now, likely for all the lead lap cars who come in here as a result. This is, however, something like Seth Frazier and Chris White may have wanted. They're all coming in to the pit lane. Everybody on the lead lap.
Yeah, the cavalry is on pit lane, as you mentioned. Caden Anderson, Devin West, father, son, Frazier, Cole Rass, Chris White, the pole car, Brightsman, O'Hare, Marcy, Stabnow, Garber, Tidrick, Denny, Bowser, Paulison, Walters, Weaver, King, Mann, Huffines, Cheney, Thurston, top 25, and even had all of these drivers come to the pit lane. He'll enter first, he'll exit first. Caden Anderson in car number 37. Back on the racetrack, it's 4 tires and fuel. Everyone else doing the same thing as well, it looks like. Sean Brightsman with a good jump off pit road. He'll enter the pit, exit the pit second. Right there, Devin West, Dan West, 3rd and 4th, Seth Frazier, 5th. But, gentlemen, this could be the turnaround of the bad luck that Sean Brightsman had earlier. This pit stop position gained for him right now.
Really rolled the dice there, Wesley. Thank you very much. 2 tires is the reasoning here. That saves him 5 seconds in the pit lane. This is not a surprise, Greg, for those who followed in. Many of his wins this season, he won in part because 2 tires got him the track position and he held on to defend in 5, 4 green-white checkered finishes in some cases.
The one that stands out to me the most for the 2-tire strategy for Sean Brightsman, Justin, was Dover, Delaware, because he wasn't a factor in the race for the entire night, riding around 7th, 8th, the whole race. It looked like Seth Frazier was going to get a win at Dover. Sean Brightsman goes 2 tires and has just enough to hold off Seth Frazier. We've seen him do it time and time again. We saw it at the Daytona Road Course, I believe it was, as well. But for me, it was the one at Dover that stood out the most of what Sean Brightsman was able to pull off there.
We'll have to see if he can hold on to track position. This is the biggest split on the tires, which is the biggest concern, I think, here, Greg. We've seen how Seth Frazier wasn't as quick as the 4 tires to Dan West Jr., but was still quick enough. This is a big split, though, about 30 or so green flag laps. This is not quite as simple now.
No, sorry about that, Justin. Caught me right as I was taking a sip of water there. Had to suddenly scramble and put the bottle down. No.
Hydration is important.
Yeah, hydration is definitely important, especially with everything going on here in 2020. It's still 2020. You got to make sure you're staying hydrated with everyone. We hope everyone, of course, is out there staying safe right now. But yeah, going back to what you were saying, you got to manage the tires. Make sure you're taking care of them. I mean, we already heard what Brock Denny said in his interview earlier. He said, hey, I didn't realize tires were this important. I'm going to be taking tires every single pit stop from here on. He's back in 25th trying to work his way back up through the field. There's still 26 cars on the lead lap right now, Justin, so plenty of time for these guys to make their way through as we're not even halfway.
Coming up to the one to go, coming to the green flag, in fact, this time by, it's Anderson Breitzman, the West Family Racing Cars Row 2, Raz Frazier, White, Man, Garber, O'Hare, your top 10. Green flag back underway. All eyes are on the 46 on the outside of the front row.
Wesley, I believe, may have an update on Breitzman as we go back green.
I did, guys. I was trying to grab Sean Breitzman, had him lined up for an interview, and I didn't realize y'all were coming back into the restart zone for the green flag. But he said, and I quote, I have really tried to stay out of everybody's way, but I felt like it was time to gamble. 2 tires. I feel like it'll work around Richmond, and he does feel that we're going to get another caution flag or so. But he really wants to be able to do just like Dan West Jr. is doing, and he feels like after the problems he had with his car with handling, he's doing really, really well. And real quickly, also, Jeff Stabnow, car number 24. We mentioned him. He says, I am right where I want to be. There's a lot of cars on this racetrack, new drivers, new problems. If I'm in the back or if I'm in the middle, I think I can be out of the trouble zone.
Trouble! Turn 3. Seth Frazier turned into the fence. Caution is out. More cars bumping in turn 3 and 4. It was a bump from behind for Seth Frazier, who brings out the swag yellow flag again. And Frazier, your race winner from the spring, now in position to potentially have to use a fast repair after contact from Chris White.
And Justin, in closing, that's why Stabnow said, I want to stay out of harm's way, because there's a lot of cars on this racetrack, and if we make mistakes, points can be lost here for a championship.
Saw right there, the contact with White and Frazier, all of a sudden, who was one of the favorites to win this race, Justin. The contact from White, Frazier's got work to do now. He's going to have to take a fast repair.
And then nearly piled up a second time. You've seen their Man and a few others were all bumping and banging. That has triggered Garber and O'Hare to come in with a bit of damage to fix on their cars. Thurston will also come in. I was going to say, a bit risky with 170 to go for 2 tires, but Sean Breitzman may be a little bit smarter looking after that one.
Definitely, Justin. And what I was getting ready to say before the incident happened, I have a follow-up point on Sean Breitzman at Richmond. He mentioned he likes this track. We talk about the Northwest Tour, the Super Late Model Series, which is now broadcast on LSR TV. Race number 3 coming up this Sunday in Iowa. I'm going to say just a little tidbit here on Sean Breitzman. 1 career victory in that Super Late Model Series, the Northwest Tour. It came here at Richmond. So Sean Breitzman definitely likes this racetrack.
I personally like it too, especially the rhythm that come into play. It's just a matter of staying out of the trouble. The interesting thing is, one of the final short tracks on the calendar, Greg, is Iowa. So there is a bit of experience that can come in from that race for the Northwest Tour. You can use for the Cup car and the trucks potentially.
And you can expect several drivers from the Tour to be in that Iowa race, and several drivers from the Cup Series to be in that Iowa race. That's coming up this Sunday night on LSR TV. 7 p.m. Pacific time is when we go on the air for that one. You can expect many of these drivers to be in the field for that one.
Indeed. Under caution, 112 laps to go. Anderson, Devin West, Dan West Jr., Sean Breitzman, Cole Raz, Chris White, Man, Marcy, Stabnow, BJ Tidrick, currently your top 10 in this one. As Corey Walters comes down with the 2 to go signal this time by, your thoughts on how this has all played out so far? A bit more attrition than the spring, to say the least.
Definitely. It's been quite more aggressive race, and that's part of being in the playoffs. You're going to see drivers who are trying to extend their championship hopes here in this one, trying to go out, maybe make a move they wouldn't have made in the spring, because now they're racing with a championship in mind, where when we were here in June, these drivers still had, 10, 12 races left before the playoff cutoff happened. They still had plenty of time to recover from a bad race here. Now, these drivers are driving with a little bit more desperation in their minds to try to get themselves in position. I believe Dan Lowther received the lucky dog on this one, so he's back on the lead lap after his issues earlier in the day.
Yes, he is 27 on the lead lap as a result, Greg, as we hope you're okay with that bonk as we get the one to go signal this time by.
Still learning my new microphone.
Yes, indeed. Here's the interesting part, though.
At least he didn't fall out of his chair.
Hopefully you're okay, Wesley. That's the main important thing.
I'm sorry.
I so.
It's a lot to talk about. Long story. In all seriousness, here's the thing to keep an eye with the Walters pit stop. We are right at the fuel window if it goes green. Now, if it goes green, just about everybody else, about 21st on forward, would have to come down. Will that happen? We'll have to see. 110 to go this time by. Green flag is out.
10 laps to halfway in this one. Caden Anderson out in front. Devin West trying to get around on the outside. Gets down in front of his father instead. Cole Raz to the inside now of Brightsman. Behind him, Scott Mann in the number 90 taking a peek. He won the
Trouble backstretch
series. Oh, we got caution.
James Thurston, who just hopped off, mind you, back under yellow and bringing out the caution flag in his Ford. No longer with a nose for the swag yellow flag. And with the swag replay, they were having a hard time getting up to speed, mind you, let alone into turn one.
Taking a look at the swag replay. Seth Frazier right behind him in the number 32. Thurston just, again, seen it time and time again. Oh, and then Tyler Kim and I believe Wayne Rick as well piling in there. Tyler Kim, that number 30 car, this has not been the debut that he wanted here in the Northwest Cup Series.
Yeah, started without a front nose, and the first caution flag of the race was on the apron for much of the first runs, already 6 laps down, potentially losing another lap already in pit lane. Not the best of debuts for the number 30. Currently, by the way, your DNF list currently includes Scott Hutchinson in the racing 31st, Roy Grande, Plybon, Vining, and a DNS for Ellie Musgrave, who did not make it to the grid for tonight, was originally scheduled for P30 on the grid. Now, one of the main things here with the cautions, precautions, it brings one thing. Commercial time. You're watching and listening to the Northwest Cup Series. The Northwest Racing Series is action in the West Bay Napa Auto Parts Playoffs on LSR TV and CRN Sports.
We're based out of West Monroe, Louisiana. We do custom T-shirts, racing. We'll do any shirt. We'll do schools, churches, fundraisers. We do a ton of event shirts, as you can see on our board here, all around our banner. Personalized. I mean, we'll do anything. It doesn't matter to us. We got the custom rugs. We use all the, top quality shirts, inks and everything. Hoodies, hats. We do embroidered hats, embroidered shirts. Just you can call us for anything. We do offer the bag and fold to where you can receive them and they're already labeled and tagged and bagged, ready to give out to your customers and stuff. So you can just call us and just tell us, hey, this is what we're looking at doing. And if we're going to put the car on there, it is 125 quantity minimum. If it's without the car, it's 60 quantity minimum. That's strictly on the racing stuff. If it's a business or something, if you race on Texas shirts, it's a little bit differently. You can call us. It just depends on your quantity and ink color. Everything is hand drawn. I mean, everything. We don't Photoshop anything onto a shirt or anything like that. Everything that we go through, everything is drawn, and which is the reason for the art fees. We do have several graphic artists that draw for us, and they're really good. So what we do is on any package that you do, we can mix and match. We can do any colors. You can do purple, red, blue, green, and do the rest black. It doesn't matter to us. With your design on there, we can do hoodies. We can do hoodies, long sleeve shirts, T-shirts, tank tops. It doesn't matter. I mean, just it's almost limitless what you can do, and you can put all that together in that package to make that minimum, requirements. They can call us 318-278-7191, or they can email us at bulletprooftees.yahoo.com, or they can go to the website bulletprooftees.com.
Approaching halfway in this one, here for the Northwest Cup Series on LSR TV and CRN Sports, it's the Richmond 200, the third race of round one of the West Bay Napa Auto Parts Playoffs. Located in Silverdale, Washington, you can find them at 9331 Silverdale Way, Northwest. They open at 8 a.m. on Tuesdays. Give them a call at 360-692-2924. Justin Pritz, Greg Wesley Ellen on the call with Charles Wynn in the director's seats. It's Caden Anderson in control of the field. Off and away. We're back and away with 104 laps to go from the action track.
Very nice restart for Caden Anderson in the number 37 as he's able to clear Devin West, who gets a nice run in the turn number 1. So West able to fight back in the number 5. And meanwhile, side by side for fourth between Cole Raz and Sean Breitzman. This is an interesting battle. Raz and Breitzman. Raz, one of course the top short track racers in the West Coast on not just iRacing, but in real life as well. And Breitzman, the driver who leads the series and wins, Breitzman lays over and gives it to Raz, who now goes after possibly the hottest driver in the series, Dan West Jr. Several drivers broke loose off turn 2 that time, Justin.
Yeah, Raz has been looking very calm and very precise on his throttle movements and as well as his steering movements. Compare that to Dan West Jr. He has been bobbling down some of the straightaways. Raz using that real-world experience, it seems, to keep this car stable when it's a very slick track like it is. It's been also one where it's been difficult to rubber in so far at points of the night so far. In fact, the track has gotten hotter as the night's gone on.
And we got a big bobble over here at turn number 3. The 40 of Bruce Lee Weaver broke loose off turn number 2. And by the time he got it gathered back up, he almost got together with Brock Denny, Tyler King, and among others. I'm going to see if we can get a swag replay of what happened to Weaver coming off turn number 2, the last lap here. Take a look at the swag replay. Saw this out of the corner of my eye. Right here, he breaks really loose after perhaps contact there with the neon yellow car. And then watch right here in the turn 3. Just pushes up the track. Denny and King get together. Garber has to check up. And look who's right there in the picture as well. 2 playoff drivers, O'Hare and Frazier.
Or Frazier specifically, O'Hare, first driver who was out of that window specifically once more.
That's right.
That could have been very tricky, to say the very least, in that one. Everyone's single file for the most part now in that grouping. As a result, Sean Breitzman, by the way, has just lost P5 in turns 1 and 2. And this one is everyone getting into a rhythm here. Just past halfway, Anderson, Devin West, Dan West Jr., Cole Raz, White, Breitzman, Mann, Garrett Huffines, BJ Tidrick, Cameron Doyle, your current top 10 from Richmond. Majority of those drivers have gained at least 7 positions from this race.
How about this stat here, Justin? 3 drivers in the top 10, including your race leader, Caden Anderson, started outside the top 20. Anderson started 21st. Mann 29th. Huffines 28th. Mann started on a provisional as Frank Harris pulls in the pit road into number 11. His rough night looks like it may be coming to an end here. 3 drivers in the top 10 started outside the top 20. Huffines and Mann started right around 30th tonight.
Frank Harris, by the way, that's the second pit stop under this green flag run. James Thurston also done for the night from that crash under the last caution flag. Anderson currently the fastest car on track as well, by the way, 21.9. The fall off at this track can get pretty substantial. It's just a matter, though, of how much lap times do we get for these drivers to wear those said tires. That's the biggest question in everybody's mind. There might be a problem, though, for Frank Harris. He is at 44 miles an hour down the backstretch. He might have to come down to third time no. Instead, he elects to come out in 3 and 4 out of the pit lane. I guess that's a way to avoid traffic.
Nicely done by Harris. I was having flashbacks to last week at Watkins Glen there, Justin. Remember what happened in the Glen with Frank Harrison kind of being off the pace there? I was starting to have flashbacks to that, but he gets it up to speed here. 7 laps down right now into number 11. He's had damage since the opening round here of this race. He was involved in that caution on lap number 1, currently being scored 28th position, 7 laps down. 26 drivers still on the lead lap right now, all the way back to Toby Ritters into number 23. Keeping my eye on the neon green number 63 of Dan Lowther, in 24th right now, trying to to work his way up through the field. Playoff driver came in just 1 point above the cut line. He's hoping he has the bad luck cut out and can work his way forward from there. Do you watch Devin West in second?
Currently already 6/10 back for Tower Kim fans. Your driver's back in the circuit. P30, last car running after 7 minutes and 27 seconds of repairs. He talked about Kim not wanting the debut that he's had tonight. Have to give him credit. He's been trying to finish this thing out, even though the car sounds and looks very hampered. Caution is out down the backstretch, though, as he spins into the caution, and Casey Garber is among the cars wrecked.
Tyler Kim able to make the save into number 30. You see Casey Garber rolling away into number 94. See what happened to Ken here, going off into turn number 1. That's Bruce Lee Weaver in front of him. Garber able to get around, pushes up the track just a little, and Weaver getting a run off turn number 2, just gets in the back of Garber, and around he goes.
I'll heat up the tires, and that, again, one of our longer runs. Make sure everybody's good on fuel. So we're back in our yellow and live action. Pit stops underway, and this, again, is to get everyone good on fuel. Tires, though, is another story.
Yeah, just after halfway, Caden Anderson is on pit lane. The Harvest entry number 37. It's going to be right side tires. Crew will virtually run over to the left side. 4 tires, 2 cans of Sunoco fuel, go-go juice going in. Squills tires off of pit lane. Everyone else is on pit lane. You see the cavalry all nestled, single file, nose to tail. Couple of more is breaking out of line. Here comes Devin West, Dan West Jr. 1, 2, 3, and the other ones at the pit box line rolling out with Tidrick and Walters. Look at those pits just after halfway. And again, Anderson, another stellar pit stop in the number 37, and he will join the rest of the drivers that did not pit in this sequence of pit stops, his first.
Here's a head scratcher. Toby Ritters was the only driver who didn't pit, was in the 20s, Greg. That's a decision.
Yeah. Not sure.
I'll find out why he didn't do it.
Yeah, Wesley, let's go catch up with the 23 of Toby Ritters. Maybe this is just to get his car on LSR TV, but yeah, that is, you're right, Justin. That's a decision.
Believe they'll get the 2 to go signal this time, so he has at least another quarter to think about it. Might be considering it.
Looks like he is going to come down.
Yes, this is going to make sure he's at the back of the field. It looks like that might be the play here, yes. So Ritters, he gets a lead lap, so don't forget about that as well. That also makes sure the 11 still gets a wave.
Gets a lead, or gets a lap lead, gets some airtime here on LSR TV, and now he's going to play it safe the rest of the way.
Yeah, that car, one of the cleanest in the race, by the way, as we'll be at about 87 to go when we get back racing here. What's going? Standing by.
Hey, I got Jeff Stab now. He's always entertaining to talk to. I was talking about the strategy he has right now in truck number 24, as we did see Ritters come down to the pit lane. We knew that was going to happen here. But, Jeff, you know, tell the guys, just kind of hanging back, staying out of trouble. A lot of cars in this race tonight.
Yeah, you know, I'm just kind of points race tonight. You know, if we get a chance to get up there, we'll do it. But I'm kind of risk averse tonight. So a lot of points to lose by not finishing. I'd like to just keep the car clean. So just, you know, try to just run in a, you know, good 10, 15 spot. And when we get about 50 left, we'll decide what we're going to do.
Is there anything you could take from the truck race that to help set you up for this race now as we get the 1 to go?
No, that truck race, I just had a really, really loose setup that I was able to basically just roll through the center of the corners. It was pretty hairy to drive on exit, but it was great in the center. This thing gets pretty tight, you know, you break loose on throttle, so not really. Not a lot of that I can take away from that.
After halfway, closing in on 80 laps to go, and I think he's going to turn up the wick. But right now, points racing for Jeff Stabnow in the West Bay Auto Parts playoffs as we come back to green, Greg and Justin.
Thank you very much, and off and away we go. Clean start for Caden Anderson and Devin West. Cole Raz, though, the highest he's been all night. Scrapping for P3 with Cameron Doyle, who took 2 tires. Doyle loses the spot. Raz might be able to try and challenge, as the problems are Bruce Lee Weaver. Another swag yellow.
Weaver around in the number 40. He was involved in some contact right before this. Couldn't see who it was. Let's see. He's got Fraser
Dan
in
West,
32.
guys. Dan West Jr.'s involved.
Dan West Jr. we're hearing is involved. And that was West there at the back. Take a look at what happened here. Alongside Walters. Oh, that starts up in front as you see Brock Denny kind of push up the track a little bit. Oh, Paulson broke loose right in front of him.
And then Weaver ping-pongs inside, and a West Jr., my goodness. Maybe at the most left side damage, but we'll have to see from another angle. That was close.
That was very close. Here in this one.
See if we can get another closer up angle and keep him eye. Here's the onboard. Take a listen. Dan West Jr. Just missed all the carnage.
Great job by West.
Sometimes you have to follow the hole. That time, if it was a little bit harder a bounce, there's a chance O'Hare and West Jr. end up getting the ricochet response. Not expecting pit stops this time for the most part. Paulson, O'Hare, and Weaver are the drivers who have to come down with the caution flags. 2 of them looking like may have used a faster pair, but this reorganizes the field once again. Cole Raz now will start on the bottom, which is not, I think, something Caden Anderson might have wanted to see in his mirror.
No, Anderson knows that Raz is going to be one of those guys he's got to worry about here moving forward. I mean, not to discredit anything from what Devin West has been able to do. Devin has been phenomenal tonight in the number 5 as well. But now, Caden's got Cole Raz right behind him. Caden has been a driving force in bringing the number 10 of Cole Raz over to the Northwest Cup Series here tonight to be able to get to run. And now Anderson might have to deal with him here if he's not careful.
Indeed. 82 to go this time by. Reset your top 10. It's Anderson, Devin West, Cole Raz, Cameron Doyle rolling the dice to get track position. A few drivers have done that tonight. Sean Brightsman, 5th. Chris White, Scott Mann, BJ Tidrick, Garrett Huffines, a very quiet night, is in 9th. And Josh Childress in 10th. 2 to go signal this time by. Real quickly, to touch on Huffines, it's of course been a roller coaster of emotions, to say the least, from the Huffine household. For Garrett, though, he's looked pretty sporty whenever he's been on the racetrack tonight.
Garrett has been very strong in the number 117. I had to catch myself there. I'm so used to saying Garrett Huffine's number 42, as that's his real life late model number in his here in the Northwest. Trying to bring it up here in the 9th position. Very solid run after starting 28th on the board, and I think that was done intentionally because we saw him timing on the brakes in the qualifying laps to try and start near the back there. Has worked his way up in the 9th. Keep your eye on G Huff in the 117.
Driving the Hooters car tonight, looking to say hoot hoot to the front. Want to go signal on that note? By the way, some of the playoff drivers, Dan Lather, 19th, Dan West Jr., 20th. Those drivers have a long time to get through the field. Frazier and Walters are currently 15th, 16th. Burke is currently 13th. Jeff Stapnow, 11th among the drivers outside the top 10. Ready to get back underway, 80 laps to go for the Richmond 200 on LSR TV and CRN Sports. Anderson, Devin West, row 1. Pace car off. Very early launch. Cole Raz times it up near perfectly off and away.
Great job by Raz in the number 10 to get right up around Devin West. And this is what Anderson might have been worried about. Look at West fight back, and he pushes up the track into number 5. Gave it a little bit too much there going into turn number 1. And Brightsman's able to get around him as well in car number 46. West going to fall in 4th now, as Scott Mann able to get up there as well. Scott Mann into the top 5 for the first time here tonight. Devin West, the big loser in that one, loses 2 spots. But look out, because Cole Raz is knocking on the door of Caden Anderson.
Cole Raz and Caden Anderson are currently bumper to bumper. Raz back backs up the entry on Anderson. Oh, well, man, for the first time in a long while, is inside that top 5. 78 to go. One thing to know, Raz and Anderson are working together in team speak. That bubble from Anderson out of turn 2, though, cost him the lead. Cole Raz to the race lead for the first time in the Cup Series.
Cole Raz in his debut to the lead here in the number 10, going to lead a lap for the first time in Northwest Cup Series competition. And watch out, because when he gets out front, it is hard to get around Cole Raz. Here he is driving the number 10. Brightsman under pressure from West now for third for the final spot on the podium. Cole Raz in the 10 leading the way. Anderson, Brightsman, West, man, your top 5. Cameron Doyle hanging back there in 6th. Chris White back up to 7th now after getting back on sequence with everybody pit cycle wise. Tidrick, Childress, and Huffines your top 10.
Plus 18 for Huffines once more. Mann plus 24. Raz plus 9. Anderson plus 19. Brightsman plus 12 among some of your biggest movers in this race. And this mark, you have to still expect an air caution flag at some point. That's just been the flow of the race, not to jinx it at that point.
Trying to get it going. 75 laps to go, so you have to expect that, expect that we're going to see more cautions. But if they can click laps away more and more and more, able to click more and more laps away, we'll be able to get closer and closer to the finish, and that long run becomes more and more of a thing you got to start thinking about.
Absolutely. And as Chris White, by the way, just took 6th, I want to ask you in terms of the relationship, how Cole Raz and Hayden Anderson, of course, we just mentioned on TeamSpeak with Money for tonight. How much does being in the same room help you outside of outside of the count that from that launch may have happened there from pace car?
Oh, it's a huge advantage when you have someone up in the restart that in your TeamSpeak room, because you can chat with them and you can say, okay, I'm getting ready, hey, what are you going to do on this restart? You can work together to try to get the best possible finish for both of you. And coming from a guy who works together when he's driving with several drivers in this race, Brock Denny, Eric Cheney, Dan Lowther, Anderson will come in once in a while, Garrett Huffines, his younger brother Dylan, who's not in the field tonight, Cole will come in and hang out with us once in a while. We all work together when we race together to try to get the best possible finish for everybody. Having those guys with you, being able to help you out and keep you updated on what's going on around you as well and what they're seeing, it's a huge benefactor. But when you're in a situation like this right now with Raz and Anderson, there's no chit-chatting right now. It is dead silent in that channel right now. They are battling it out right now. Mano a mano.
By the way, you've seen on screen Devin West shuffled up to P3 after a pass to the bottom side on Sean Brightsman. Brightsman seems to finally be getting a solid rhythm in after really struggling the first half of the race.
Yeah, once he took that gamble there to get the tires, caught a few cautions, and he's been able to stay up there now in the number 46. Keep your eye on him, because we know he might try it again later if he gets another opportunity to.
Absolutely. Battle for the race lead back on up at the front, by the way. Raz is starting to lose grip out of the corners. Anderson has poked his way to the bottom a couple times already throughout this run, ever since that initial pass for the lead.
But Anderson lost just a little bit of ground to Raz. He was on the back bumper a couple laps ago, has lost a bit of ground. Now starting to come back into number 37, trying to gather it back up. And Devin West is going to really be hoping that these guys start to get pretty racy with each other, because that's going to allow him to close in. He's already closing. It's now down to 0.8 of a second for Devin West. He gained a 10th that lap on the two race leaders in front of him. He's trying to reel him back in. Remember, Devin West, he is still searching for that first Cup win. 3 truck wins on the season, all 3 at mile and a halves, but he wants a win here at Richmond tonight and get his first Cup win.
Scott Mann from P6 now falling hard down the pylon. He might be done. And Scott Mann was losing positions in time quick, does have damage to his car. This may signal the end of his night, possibly.
Broke loose off of turn number 2, I believe is what I saw. I saw white and blue car shoot down to the bottom. See if maybe we can get a swag replay of it as he's on pit road getting 4 tires. Not sure what happened to Scott Mann here, but I saw something happen off turn number 2. And this is, I believe, the lap before, so we'll be able to pick it up here and see what happened to man Cameron Doyle right behind him.
This has been just the theme of his season ever since about May or so. Every time he's had some bad luck, he usually spells the end of his race. This is the bad luck that triggers it. A couple cars have clipped the apron coming off the corner a few times. This time, the drift right there, he taps out. He's out of the car. Likely, maybe done for the night, possibly in the 90.
Tough one for Scott, man. He was having such a good run in his car tonight. I mean, you could almost call it a breakout run with how his season has gone.
Yep.
What an incredible performance. I believe Wesley's standing by with him.
I do. Scott Mann, Wesley, LSR TV Communications. Got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Man, man to man. You had such a good run going, man. Talk about what happened to you in the 90 car. And I know you were definitely telling me earlier you thought you had a good piece. Just what ended your night?
Yeah, the car was great. I think contact with the 83 and the 94 there, I was towed. I think I was towed in a little bit there. My wheel was off about 2 inches. But that first run, yeah, car felt great. I think they were going to get me on a changing lane thing. So even if I came up and finished top 3, I probably would have got DQ'd. But it was a good run. I love the short track, so that's why I come back. So maybe I'll come back next week.
Yeah, I was going to say, how unique was this race, and definitely giving you the opportunity to think that you had high hopes and big opportunities to try to contend for a win here.
Yeah, I didn't help myself by spinning out twice in qualifying, so I figured I could have got at least top 5 in qualifying, but I ran out of talent twice on that one, so I started out the night bad and ended it bad. So.
Well, this game tonight had a roller coaster ride for Scott Mann. Justin and Greg had problems at the beginning, was able to rally and climb into the top 10. And unfortunately, with under 50 laps to go coming up, he is out of the race. Scott Mann in car 90, but he says he'll be back next week at Charlotte.
Thank you very much, Wesley. His best finish since March has been a P8 at Dover. He's DNF'd all but 2 races this season. That other best finish, by the way, was second after being the pole sitter at Las Vegas in that 106-lap race early on in the campaign with a bit of contact. But the top 5 have all settled in. Your highest running playoff driver is still Brightsman at the moment. Chris White is the highest of the need to win the lock-in drivers, so to speak, for the West Bay Napa Auto Parts playoffs. One back into a solid rhythm, approaching 50 laps to go already, Greg. And to phrase what you were mentioning with Caden Anderson, by the way, he's bye-bye. He's right now the quickest car again.
Yeah, Caden Anderson has left the building, ladies and gentlemen, and he is just hoping to stay green the rest of the way, because if he can stay green, he doesn't have to worry about tires anymore, doesn't have to worry about fuel. If we stay green, that is, he can just focus on running his race, and he'll have win number 2 on the season. Raz, however, he's about to be in the dogfight with Devin and Brightsman.
Wesley, let's say hi to you.
Caden Anderson just asked him one question. Redemption from last Thursday? He said, yes, sir. He wants to prove a point. He's very, very strong in car number 37, and he has proven it right here tonight, looking for that second win on the Northwest iRacing Cup Series.
Thank you, Wesley. And the main interesting point in all this, Greg, is he runs one more race during the regular season. He doesn't miss that race a few months ago. He's likely one of the contenders for the championship right now. It's just early on the season, didn't make too many starts, then ramped up the participation and his performance in the summertime, but just was not enough of a point deficit to close back up in time to at least get top 16 to use the win to lock himself in.
And I've been talking with him a little bit here and there throughout the course of the last few weeks, and he has said he does intend to run the full season next year and give it a run for the Northwest Championship, whether it be the Truck Series or the Cup Series, or if they switch back to the Xfinity Series. We don't know what the plan for 2021 is yet with the Northwest Racing Series as far as the Monday night series go. We know the Truck Series, that's been the staple of the Northwest for quite some time. You know they're going to run the trucks. Monday nights might be the Xfinity, might be the Cup. who knows? Might be something entirely different. We don't know yet what the plan is, but you can expect Caden Anderson here on Monday nights and Sunday nights in the Tour as well, because he is a lot of people's pick for that championship as well as he closes in on some lap traffic.
The thing is with that, it's not apples to apples on driving styles from Cup car to Xfinity car or vice versa. If anything, it's apples to Plumtree almost, because you have to drive them differently. You have to enter the corners differently. The downforce levels can be different at a lot of the various racetracks as well. It's not as simple as a near identical run you would get from car to car in some cases.
And Caden Anderson did make a few starts last year on the Northwest Xfinity Series. His best finish was second a couple of times. One that stands out to me was in Phoenix when he went out and finished second to Jason Berg. Problem for Devin West, third place.
He got hit by Tyler Kim. He got hit by Tyler Kim, the lap call, in the middle of the corner, I believe. Tyler Kim's been trying to stay on the bottom of the racetrack, has been running at least 20, 30 miles an hour off the pace, and ended up pushing into the 5 just about in the corner, and that triggered the loose moment off the corner.
If we can maybe get a swag replay of that one. We apologize there for the little bit of an echo we had going on there. Being rectified right now. You take a look at the swag replay.
Yeah, we'll have to go a little bit further back on that drift, and keep in mind, the lap car, Tyler Kim, has been struggling throughout the night, especially on speed. There is a crash in live action you'll also see in a moment with Eric Cheney and company. This is what nearly caused the swag yellow flag before the current one, because Kim on the bottom was already 3 lanes below the line, pushes up into the lead lap cars.
And West tries to get going again and slides right there. And that may have been just some frustration trying to get going. And here's what happened with Cheney into number 76 to put us under this caution.
It's with Corey Walters. Watch turn 2 exit. Big check. Bit of a bobble. It will be the next time around once everything's all settled on in. Then you can see Cheney feels like he's quicker on corner entry. And keep in mind that can come into play, especially since Cheney has been burning the right rear tire off, at least visually on this track. That comes into play right about here.
A little bit of a, I'm going to quote my teammate Brock Denny here, Broccoli. Going into turn 1, just a little boink, boink, boink there into the number 9. Long story on that one. I have to explain it sometime, but we're on pit road.
Money stop time, gentlemen. It could possibly be here. 50 to go. West is in. Marcy is in. So is O'Hare. Here comes King. Here comes Paulison. Stab now is in. All on the pit lane, and there goes Caden Anderson, the man that's dominated. Sean Brightsman right behind him. They'll drop the jack onto the pit lane, and look at who it's out front again. 37, 46, 1 and 2. Look at these pit stops, as well as also a good pit stop for Raz, I think it is. Man, who is Raz? Raz in the number 10. Looking good, looking strong. Giving Anderson a fit here, I believe, gentlemen, as we approach the final 50 laps at Richmond.
Thank you, Wesley. It's going to be entertaining to see how things shape out with all of that, to say the very least. To answer the question, who is Cole Raz? We've talked about it a lot tonight. And the driver who races in Arizona, located in the Northwest specifically, is set up to run in 2021 specifically for the Spears SRL Southwest Tour. That would be racing with Brandon Farrington for that respective series in Sigma Performance Service built, prepared, and maintained super late models. That season expected to start with the Sunrise Ford All-Star Showdown February the 6th. So he is someone you have to keep an eye on, I think, for the near future in the short track scene. There was also, by the way, a bit of an issue for Corey Walters where he stayed out, but he's now stopped on the track, I believe with Chris White. Something just happened with Chris White, I believe, in all of that tanglement. What is going on here?
Let's have to see if we can pick up the 83 car right now, because issues on the 83 of White with the 9 of Walters.
I think it's a tech issue. I think it's a tech issue, and that's going to be a massive issue for Chris White. He's going to lose spots. Corey Walters is put in the tow. So massive, massive issues for 2 playoff drivers just now. Walters is still stopped on the racetrack. That will keep the pace lights on. Chris White is going to potentially have that technical issue. You'll see coming off of turn 2, Walters sees his sign. There goes White. Bye-bye they go.
And remember, I talked a little bit about it here earlier in the race. We're in the Northwest, guys. We have a severe winter storm going through the area right now. I'm wondering, Chris White and Corey Walters, they're located over on the west side of the state. They should be getting hit with it by now. Us in Spokane, we just now started getting hit by it right as we went on the air. Wondering if the severity of the weather is what's causing this to happen. There is a severe winter storm hitting the Northwest right now. Wondering if that's what's going on with these drivers.
The radar currently, by the way, for those watching from the Northwest, currently that snow is currently hitting areas like Seattle, Aberdeen, Astoria, around that region.
Hey,
Wesley.
gentlemen, they're saying it's internet issues for both drivers, internet issues for the 83 of Chris White especially, but no snowstorm yet where he's at, though, Greg, but he's having internet issues.
Thank you, Wesley. We're back underway. Chris White trying to get back on the racetrack, however, has already lost several positions. Corey Walters has lost a few laps. Several drivers all mixed up as a result of all the craziness. Doyle, several others, all shuffled in. There were some lap cars somehow up towards the front. Wayne Rick somehow came out with the race leaders for the launch.
Wayne Rick was coming off pit road there, Justin. He came off pit road about 5 seconds before the green flag fell. Saw him coming up off of the apron into the field, right turn number 2. That's what happened there. I'm watching Josh Childress in the 97. We haven't mentioned him in a while. He's up in 4th in the Bright Menards car right there. Then you find Garrett Huffline's up in the top 5. Trouble's out.
Frazier is in it.
Oh,
Seth
no.
Frazier is in it. Sean Breitzman was among the drivers having to check up hard from the back of the field. As we're back under yellow, let's take a look as the swag yellow flag is all triggered after carnage off the corner. Tempers are flaring with 40 to go.
RC, Tidrick, Burke, Frazier all right there. 3 wide and
That wasn't going to work.
no. 3 wide does not work here at Richmond. Brock Denny involved as well.
So the span of about 5 minutes went from looking like things were settled down, nice and calm, then pandemonium strikes. Technical problems hurt the runs for Chris White and Corey Walters. They are now several laps down, needing good points hauls. 2 drivers in or around the bubble for the top 8, heading into the final races for round 1 of the West Bay Napa Auto Parts playoffs. Then you have that incident, collecting an additional playoff driver and the winner from the sprint race in Seth Frazier. Chaos has now ensued. Caution flag is out. We'll take a step aside. You're watching and listening to the Northwest Cup Series for the virtual Richmond Raceway on LSR TV and CRN Sports.
Hey, it's Wesley Outland of CRN Sports, one of the co-founders. I'm also one of the announcers on Live Sim Racing, LSR TV. We've recently partnered with LiveSimRacing.com to become the official radio partner of all of the esports events. What is CRN? Well, first off, we're going to be covering esports like it's never been done before with our MRN, PRN type radio atmosphere like you experience with NASCAR. In addition to that, we will cover the Northwest Trucking Cup Series, the Northwest Tour, and of course special events and sanctions like swag and special events like 6 Hours at Daytona and so much more. It's very simple to check out the racing action, whether on LSR TV, on Facebook and YouTube, or by listening. And that's how I want to help you real quickly. Go up simply to the website, wearecrn.com, wearecrn.com, click play, and you are set. It's that simple. We're excited to be the voice of Live Sim Racing. We are CRN. Follow us at crn.com.
Welcome back to Richmond Raceway for more coverage of the Northwest Racing Series and its Cup Series for the West Bay Napa Auto Parts Playoffs. Round 1 has been an entertaining one. Race 3 has been a crazy past 10 minutes or so. Justin Prince, Greg Wentz, Wesley Owen standing behind the pit lane with Charles Wooden in the director's seat. Let's go to that pit lane, Wesley.
LSR TV Communications with Sean Breitzman. Sean, you got a copy?
Got a copy, Wes?
Dude, what happened?
The police somehow got onto pit road. I don't really understand, but they go ahead and give us a speeding ticket. So we'll have to start back here towards the rear of the field, see if we can't make some moves and get ourselves up towards the front again.
So you got a speeding penalty, and that puts you mired in the back, and then you got caught up in the accident? What's your take of that?
Well, we saved it from the accident. I saw it happening, kind of going on there, so I just tried to stay out of it, and I just kind of backed off a little early and careened around it while I watched the 32 and looked like 53 get into it a little bit. So
it looks like you've definitely struggled here tonight. Is that abnormal for you here in the 46 this evening?
You know, I feel as of late, I've definitely struggled at Richmond. I don't really know why. I felt pretty good here, but I just haven't had it at Richmond. So trying to run behind Caden and Cole and trying to see what they're doing, as well as Devin. And think I may have picked up something. So hopefully we can get this thing back up there and get the LSR TV, Toyota Camry, Bright's Boutique up there, maybe for a top 5.
That's the thoughts of Sean Brightsman. Going to try to get back into this race. Still a lot of right to go here, Greg. Under 35. Justin, it's going to be Caden and Raz back to the green here at Richmond.
The Caden and Cole Raz show has a ring to it. 34 to go. They've been the quickest cars in the second half in this race. Devin West, Josh Childress watching from row 2 as already Anderson diving it hard to the yellow line to start off this run.
Anderson gets clear of Raz as now Devin coming back on the inside. Weaver shooting down to the apron into number 40. Looks like we're going to be able to stay green for the time being as the battle is on for second between Raz and West. Cole Raz trying to hold steady on the outside, but Devin West making moves on the outside. Josh Childress lurking in fourth. Childress is another one looking for his first Cup win here in the Northwest Tour. Again, Weaver gets a big slide off of turn number 4. Boy, that number 40 of Bruce Lee Weaver really struggling on corner exit right now.
That's around 19th position right now. Of note, if you reach 16 incident points, you have to serve a drive-through under green. Frazier just had to serve a penalty as a result of that. Brock Denny out of the race from that last caution flag. So, for Frazier, he will need a potential win at Charlotte, depending on how the points shake up after tonight. Anderson leads once again by half a second. Devin West, Cole Raz, the current top 3 at the moment. And cars are getting looser and looser. These are a little bit fresher tires than before. Raz ready to fight back, it looks like, though, Greg.
Seth Frazier coming in again on pit road into number 32 as West trying to get it back around Raz, but Raz will clear. Childress to the inside into number 97, and he's going to give it just a little bit of contact to Devin, who right rears him there as Childress kind of came up the racetrack right in front of him, and that's going to cost Childress a whole lot of ground. He's going to get freight trained on the outside. Devin settles in the third. His father right behind him in fourth. The big loser in that one was Childress.
More contact. Childress hit the back end of BJ Tidrick and all of that coming out of turn 4. Childress was not happy moments ago on the radio, to say the very least, with the contact to the right rear, going from top 3 to outside the top 12 as a result of that. Trouble at the back end of the back straightaway as well. Dan Lowther and a couple others also getting squirrely. Everybody getting squirrely. Jeff Stabnow squirrely off of turn 4 to the front now.
Stabnow, by the way, up to 7th in that number 24. They are fighting and wheeling these things right now. These guys need tires, but I don't think anyone wants to pit to give up that track position. Tidrick with a big slide off of turn number 2. These guys are wheeling this thing like a dirt track right now, and the driver who loves seeing it is the guy who's watching it all in his rear view mirror.
Trouble! O'Hare, grass! O'Hare is looped it into the infield. Caution not out yet. O'Hare is off the racing surface. This will not...
Below the apron.
This will not trigger it. No other cars close to him. O'Hare spun right inside the top 10. He was in that scrap with several cars, including Stabnow moments ago. Question is, can everyone else hold on for another 26 laps or so?
That is definitely going to be the question moving forward here, is how much left in these tires do these guys have? And honestly, here, Justin, I think the advantage of this one is going to be drivers who ran last night in the Northwest Tour. By the way, 3 of the top 5 and several several in the top 10 all ran in that race at the Northwest Tour. I don't know if you heard it, but at North Wilkesboro last night in the Tour, track temperature was 144 degrees at the end of the race. Those tires were gone. They were slipping and sliding, much like we saw here. I think that's going to come into play here tonight, because look at who all's up front. Anderson, Raz, you got Huffines in fourth. West Jr. competed in that. Garber, Childress, Tidrick all competed in the Tour race. They all have experience right now with no grip on the tires because of what they dealt with last night.
100%. And the main thing is with that too, keep in mind, some of the short track cars like the late models had adjustments in tires. Caution is out at Paulison. And Paulison's nightmare continues. Swag yellow flag. Let's take a look at the Swag replay. Again, it's been a horrific night for Paulison and his Toyota Camry.
Walters underneath him in the Napa 9. Contact there. Should be coming here in turn 3. There's a little bit of contact between Walters and Paulison. Paulison backs it in the wall. And what a heartbreak after a great run last week at Watkins Glen for Paulison. Finished on the podium. Have a nightmarish night like this. That's got to be a dagger for him.
He's still running. That's the bright side. Downside is he's 22nd. That was the fight for 17th. 21 to go, and the biggest question mark of the race, who's going to come in? Wesley.
Oh, they're coming. They're coming.
Everyone's
Here comes the
coming.
cavalry. You're exactly
Devin
right.
stayed out.
Except Devin West and Walters, they stayed out. But Caden Anderson's on the pit lane. Raz Attack is there as well in 18. They're all coming down to the pit lane, or the 10, I'm sorry. They're all coming down pit lane. Call this your extra money stop. Tidrick's in, Marcy's in. Sean Brightsman. There's Walters in the Napa 9. Big shout out to another number 9, Chase Elliott, Napa 9, winning the championship yesterday for the NASCAR Cup Series at Phoenix. Paulison, who brought out the caution flag. Stephen Paulison will stop at his pit stall. And again, another flawless pit stop. No errors, no problems for Anderson. But the number 5 is alive. That was a quote from the movie Short Circuit, and that's a quote for the 5 of Devin West. He will be the leader with under 20 to go.
I have to hope that no one's strategies and hopes for the playoffs to continue don't short circuit, because this is going to be intriguing. Top 9 all stay out. They might be in a box where they can't come in now at this point onward, Greg, too, because if they come in, they're not gaining those positions back. There were also drivers who took... Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, Justin. I just think they made their bed right there. These 9 drivers that stayed out, I think they made their bed. 20 laps to go at this moment. 9 cars stayed out on old tires, and we saw how much they were slipping and sliding right now. Oh, boy.
And this is after one of the longer runs of the second half of the ranks. It was about 17, 18 plus laps on the green flag run that time. The drivers who took 2 as well, by the way. No surprise to see Sean Brightsman. Ricky Bozier, though, needed to put some kind of call in. He also took 2. Corey Walters also just took 2 to hold on to 17th. In other words, oh boy, to quote what you just said, because if it gets crazy up towards the front, the bubble's going to be really, really interesting for Charlotte.
Well, pick a car, pick a driver, pick a number. Let us know in the chat. Who are you picking to win this crazy race at Richmond that just took one of the craziest turns we've seen? Because now 9 drivers have stayed out for track position for a less than 20 lap shootout. The fastest cars in the field, Caden Anderson and Cole Raz, will restart 10th and 11th. In the chat right now, let us know. Who is your pick to win this race? Can Devin West hold on for less than 20 laps and get his first Cup win? Or can Garrett Huffines get around for his first Northwest Racing Series victory? And Caden Anderson keying up in driver chat, and he says, well, this is going to be interesting.
Hey, guys, look who's up at 4th. Look
Jeff
who's in
Stabnow?
4th. Yes, sir.
The Possum.
Stabnow's there. The Possum. He's laid back almost the entire race. Remember, he told me the strategy he wanted to do. I'm also very impressed with Carl Burke. Look at him in 5th. Bruce Lee Weaver and Dan Lowther, the Talladega winner, to go to the playoffs. right in that mix. This should be good right here, guys.
For some of these drivers, this may be their Hail Mary to try and get points here. Mind you, for the next round of the playoffs, that they can get in. Devin West, massive tire spin from the whole entire grouping. Back on her way as Dan West Jr. already jumps up to second. Garrett Huffines nearly looped it up on the top. 3-1 to the back of the field already.
And look at this, Justin. Cole Raz has gotten around Caden Anderson. Cole Raz with a better restart there on the inside line, but was able to get past Anderson. That is huge, because those were the first two cars on fresh tires. And
caution!
On short run, caution.
It's another playoff driver. It's BJ Tidrick this time.
Oh, no. Frazier involved as well. I believe, no, that's Tyler Kim in the 30. Take a look at the swag replay. What happened to Tidrick?
Let's take a look, as this is yet another playoff driver having their hopes dampened. Marcy's on the inside. Cheney, though, there wasn't a hole, Cheney.
Cheney gets involved into the barrels, and Frazier does get a piece of it in the 32. But Tidrick gets the worst of it.
Yeah, diving it in very late to make it 3 wide is never good at Richmond.
Tough break there. We go on board with Cheney in the number 76.
I mean, there was an opening, but there also was a tight one. You see how much that demolishes. That also cost the front nose of Tyler Kim's car to be shredded off once again.
Oh, Cheney doing some campaigning here for possibly a future Northwest modified race. Nudge, nudge, Charles Wooten in the production booth. But under caution here. We're going to try it once again. Devin West, Dan West Jr., Jeff Stabnow, Garrett Huffines, Bruce Lee Weaver. Remember his win at Michigan? It came by staying out as long as he possibly could. He's going to try it again in the 40.
We'll have to see how this all plays out. As coming up to 13 to go. The drivers who moved up quickly were Raz and Anderson on the fresher tires. Everybody else didn't really gain any positions, Greg. So there could be another crazy restart coming up here.
I'm going to say, yeah, there will be another crazy restart. I don't think there's going to be no could be about it. This is going to be even crazier because now Cole Raz is up to 7th. Caden Anderson will be directly behind him in 9th with Dan Lowther between the two of them.
Yep.
We already saw Cole Raz be able to get around Caden Anderson. So with that said, does Raz have enough time now with laps clicking away under caution? Does he have enough time to get back up there?
Seth Frazier, by the way, has jumped out of his car. He was at the very tail end of that trouble. He was the lucky dog car, believe, if he wasn't involved. That could have gone 1 lap down. Instead, he's now 3. That moves Chris White to 4 laps down. And with the incident, Frank Harris is also in the garage, in the pit lane, rather, getting damage repairs done. Drivers who are out are 26 on down in your pylon. Wayne Rick, Tyler Kim with significant more damage, Brock Denny, Scott Mann, James Thurston, Scott Hutchinson, Roy Grande, Libon, Vining, and this one. Getting ready for the one to go signal this time by West Family Racing, control of the field. Jeff Stabnow, P3, Bruce Wee Weaver, P4, Garrett Huffines, Carl Burke, Cole Raz among your top 7 drivers. Dan Lowther, Caden Anderson, and Toby Ritters is your top 10 right now. Fresh tires are 12th on back here.
This is going to be wild, Justin. Going to be 11 laps to go when we go green. Devin West, Dan West Jr., Jeff Stabnow, top 3. Garrett Huffines, saw what happened on that last restart. A big tire spin out of the 117. Can he try to get up there and steal this one? Can Cole Raz climb through the field and make moves to get a win in his debut? We'll find out. Coming to green.
We'll see how the drivers respond to the start this time. Not as much wheel spin for the top 2 rows. Bruce Wee Weaver had trouble going, though, in front of Cole Raz. Anderson is diving underneath, then turn 1 for the first driver on fresh tires. 3 wide. Buxton with Carl Burke. Near contact, Burke in the fence. Anderson on the bottom into turn 3.
And Stab now with a big slide in front of him. And oh boy, Anderson lined up behind Stab now. Oh boy, Stab now gets in the Weaver. They both get by clean. So suddenly Anderson and Raz now 4th and 5th. Lowther caught up and we got a wreck.
Big one, down Lowther. Many more playoff drivers involved. Sean Brightsman, several of your fresh tire drivers are involved. Swaggy will flag in this one. Could have ramifications for the playoffs.
Taking a look at what happened. This all starts back here.
This is right after the contact down the front straightaway with the squeeze right there.
Right there. And then Lowther nowhere to go in the 63. Look at them fanned out there. And it's on.
Corey Walters just gets through in that one. That may have saved his playoffs. Brightsman, of course, had that win to bank on, but drivers like Tidrick and company, they did not need that. Take a listen on board. Tidrick. Nowhere to go when you pick a lane and the track is blocked.
Suddenly, BJ Tidrick, who had such a great run in his number 72 Winston Ford, now has to come down pit road and get ready for Charlotte. No doubt we will see the 72 turn a lot of laps in the trucks at Charlotte this Thursday.
Absolutely. Keep in mind, you mentioned the modified class. There are 2 entrants technically in this race. This is not a real class, by the way, for those not catching on. There's at least 7 now.
Not a real class yet.
I mean, not to change topic, but it'd be interesting to see cup cars, but as modifieds.
I would love to see it.
A lot of damage, guys, on Seth Frazier, Joshua Marcy able to continue along. Tidrick getting fixed in 72. The Darlington winner. We'll never forget that chaotic night. And he is all tore up with a car looking like a modified now. But whatever it takes to accumulate whatever positions, that adds points. That tries to help him run through the playoffs. But again, a lot of key contenders caught up in this big one in turn 1 that you just mentioned. And again, the only guy that I could say that gets a lucky dog in that mix is Sean Brightsman, Watkins Glen winner, because he advances into the round of 8.
Yeah, he's got that win to back up on. There is likely not going to be a shot for him to surpass the record for the Northwest Racing Series' wins totals. Looking like when the green flag comes out, there will maybe be about 4 laps to go. Lowther, end of longest line penalty, has reached the incident mark. Several drivers at or near that mark, which could cost them shots. Cheney, White, Marcy, Weaver among the drivers with several minutes of repairs under this caution. Is there going to be enough time at this rate for drivers to try and defend here? Because Anderson and Raz are 4th and 5th on the fresher tires.
That's going to be close. We're expecting a restart with 4 laps to go. Anderson and Raz, 4th and 5th. They're going to need to pick 1 off per lap here to try to set it up and settle it between them. But Devin West has been doing a fantastic job on these restarts. Lights are off on pace car. Anderson on the outside of row 2, Raz inside row 3. First 2 cars on fresh tires. And they're not as fresh anymore, but they're still going to have plenty of advantage over these 3 in front of them.
Ricky Belcher, Casey Garber, Tyra Kane also to keep an eye on fresher tires. Bozier needs positions. Walters needs positions. But he's on 2 tires. Everybody else in the playoffs looking for a lot of luck. 4 to go. Will we get a green-white checkered, or will we be able to go green the rest of the way? Let's find out, shall we? Green flags out. West Family Racing on the gas. Poor start for Garrett Huffines. Raz nearly ran him over as a better launch for Anderson as a result. Up at the front.
Remember, Devin West in the 5 car, he's still searching for that first Northwest Cup Series victory. 3 wins in the trucks in his rookie season, but he's going to have to contend with Caden Anderson right now in the number 37. Going to be 3 laps to go. And West Jr. keeping Anderson at bay. Can Devin hold on? 3 laps to go. 2.25 miles.
Raz nearly spun it off the corner, clipped the apron trying to dive underneath Huffines. Anderson, though, needs to find a way around Dan West Jr. Pushed off the track. West Jr. not making it easy. Trying to block for his son. 2 laps to go. More contact behind in 3 and 4. No caution yet.
2 laps to go, 1.5 miles around Richmond, Virginia. Devin West pulling away, trying to get this first Cup win. The longer Anderson stays behind his dad, it's going to help Devin, but Anderson's got the run. He has gotten clear of Dan. Oh, but he pushed up the track, and that could be exactly what Devin needs as the white flag is out. It's the CRN, 1 to go.
Final lap from Richmond. Final 0.75 miles. Devin West, he's come close several times in the Cup Series. Now has 1 more set of corners to defend. It's a 0.73 second advantage for Effective Web Solutions and West Family Racing. Devin West is a winner in the Northwest Cup Series. He wins at Richmond.
First career win for Devin West, and he missed the playoffs, so we do not lock anyone else in, but what a performance. Devin West finally breaks the ice, and finally, Justin, gets that first career Cup Series victory.
And you can tell with how hard Dan West Jr. was fighting, he wanted to make sure his son held on.
Outstanding performance here by Devin West. Big congratulations from Cole Raz in the 10. Those two have raced legends together in the past, and Devin West is going to burn what's left of those Goodyear tires down as the rest of the field gathering speed. If you've never watched the Northwest Cup Series, Justin, we know what's coming next.
Yes, indeed, and I think most of the drivers who took a swing just missed them, by the way. Again, Devin West, first career Cup Series victory after being so close several times this season. After having 10 top 10s, his dad celebrates in the Northwest Racing Series way. Let's take a look at your unofficial race results tonight as everyone else congratulates him with their cars. Caden Anderson on the fresher tires couldn't get there in time. 0.7 of a second is the interval between him and Devin West for tonight's race win. Anderson from 21st to 2nd. Dan West Jr., the first driver from the playoffs in the lineup in 3rd, while Garrett Huffines comes home in 4th. Heartbreak for Cole Raz. Doesn't even get the podium after having a strong second half of this race. He only gets to 5th spot. Jeff Stabnow comes home in 6th, and it was craziness from that point onward. O'Hare, Garber, Paulison comes home in 9th after the carnage. Childress in 10th.
Cameron Doyle comes home in 11th with Corey Walters rallying to finish 12th. Ricky Bozer 13th, he needed spots. Josh Marcy 14th. Tyler King 15th. BJ Tidrick 16th. Final car on the lead lap was Carl Burke in the 53 in 17th. Toby Ritters, Dan Lowther, and Sean Breitzman round out the top 20.
21st spot tonight includes plenty of drivers with heartbreak. Frank Harris, 5 laps down is where he finishes in 21st. Eric Cheney, 8 laps down after several incidents. Bruce Wee Weaver, 10 laps down, tried strategy, didn't work. Chris White, technical issues, then gets involved in more crashes, falls 10 laps down in 24th. That could be crucial for the points. Seth Frazier, he looked like he had a shot at this win, was comfortably inside the top 6 at some points. He has some problems, gets involved in crashes, ends up having several incident limit penalties, finishes 25th. Wayne Rick, Tyler Kim, Brock Denny all do not finish. Scott Mann, James Thurston, Scott Hutchinson, Grande, Plybon, Vining DNF. While Ellie Musgrave did not start tonight's action. What a race tonight for the Northwest Racing Series. First career win for Devin West as he plays spoiler at Richmond. Post-race coverage coming up in just a few moments. You're watching and listening to LSR TV and CRN Sports for coverage of the Northwest Racing Series and the West Bay Napa Auto Parts playoffs. TV and CRN Sports for the Northwest Racing Series and its Cup drivers. Tonight's coverage presented by Waltz Beer Co. and LSR TV for Race 3 of Round 1 of the West Bay Napa Auto Parts Playoffs. Justin Prince, Greg Rentz, alongside Wesley Altwin, Charles Wooden in the director's seat tonight. An action-packed finish to this one. Wesley Altwin is standing by with Dan West Jr., who watched his son take home the win.
Well, Dan West, I think shades of Earnhardt and Earnhardt Sr. whenever he was trying to block and let his son win the Great American Race or even his first Cup win as well. Talk about what it means for you to have your son Devin West be a winner now on the Northwest iRacing Cup Series here tonight at Richmond.
No, it's pretty awesome. He drove his heart out. I think that he did all he could do was just put his head down and go forward. And I just battled it out with Caden. I think Caden definitely was a car to beat tonight. It was unfortunate that the cautions fell the way they did for him. I think he still had a chance. I think once he got by me, he just pushed a little too hard and didn't give himself a good chance to get up there.
Was there a time where literally the racing competitor of you went out the window and the father came in to try to block and defend and help Devin get this race win?
Well, I think, of course, yeah, a little bit. I was trying not to block Caden, but I was definitely going to run him as hard as I could. But I knew he's like I say, he was just definitely faster, definitely better tires. And I, like I say, got into one there, got a little sideways, and once he cleared me, I figured, well, it was race on for those two. But then he went down into 3 and got a little sideways. But yeah, of course, I'm going to run him hard. I mean, but Caden and I both race each other hard and clean, and it was fun.
Let's talk about your race now. Bottom line, you were in contention, you were up there, but was there comfort in knowing that whatever happens, you're going to the next round in the West Bay Napa Auto Parts Playoffs, round of 8 after Charlotte next week, and does that make you drive differently?
Oh, totally. I didn't have to take any chances, and that was the biggest thing, is I was trying to stay out of trouble up there. And other than having that pit road penalty, we had a pretty good clean night. I still was on the same car. Didn't have to use a fast repair. Didn't have any damage. So yeah, it obviously takes the stress off you. And that is nice. That is really nice to be able to come in here, compete, have some fun, and no stress. But it just, like I say, it was an awesome night. I was really, really happy that Raz and Anderson and these guys came over from the tour side and made it a competitive race.
Real quickly before we let you go, thank your sponsors as we get ready for Charlotte next Monday.
Yeah, I'd like to thank West Bay Napa Auto Parts for coming aboard. That really helped us out here, and they're a pretty awesome place to get parts for your automotive. LSR TV, you guys are awesome like always. And Northwest Racing Series, thank you very much.
Dan West Jr. having a nice father-son moment, allowing what he needed to do to let his son Devin West get his first career Northwest Cup Series victory, but he'll survive a wild one here at Richmond tonight in the next round. Going on to Charlotte, Dan West Jr., third here at Richmond. Gentlemen, I'm going to take off. We'll see you Thursday for the trucks at Charlotte. Greg Rentz is standing by with who, again, Dan West Jr. felt was the fastest man and the man that should have won the race. Caden Anderson, runner-up here tonight.
And Caden, another stellar run for you, up there leading laps, battling it out with Cole Raz pretty much the entire race. It seemed like you two were along there with each other. But walk us through those last couple restarts. When you come down, you lead the charge down pit road, but 9 cars stay out. What goes through your head when you realize you've got around 20 laps to go and 9 cars to pass there?
Yeah, I felt like it was the best opportunity for me to win to pit there, because I feel like if I didn't pit, then the guys behind me would have pitted no matter what. So I feel like pitting was my best chance to win, and I knew that we would have to get some green flag runs in, and cautions just fell the wrong way and didn't work in our favor.
Cole, tell us about, or Caden, sorry, tell us about battling with Cole in the number 10, who made his debut tonight in the car that you painted, by the way. We feel like we should mention, but tell us about battling it out there with Cole in his debut and being able to battle it out with one of your good friends here, not just on iRacing, but in racing in general. And tell us about battling with him pretty much the entire length of that race there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to battle with someone you grew up with. You know, me and Cole have been best friends for the longest time, and it's cool to see him come in here and, you know, run up front with us. And yeah, I mean, running up front and racing clean side by side with anybody is fun, and that's why I enjoy racing with these guys, because most of the time it's pretty clean, and, you know, we never have any problems. So I enjoyed it a lot.
Okay, then it's a second place here tonight. Next week, we go to Charlotte, a track that falls right into your wheelhouse, the big 1.5 mile tracks. Your win in the Cup Series came on a 1.5 mile track in Sin City earlier this year in Las Vegas. What are you expecting from Charlotte next week?
Charlotte's always kind of a wild card, because it's a very fast track that you have to take care of your tires a lot. So I think it's going to be a wild card race, and hopefully we can improve from our finish tonight. But I think it's going to be a pretty good race.
All right, Caden, second place here tonight. Second straight second place. Who you got to think?
Harvest Chevrolet, LSR TV, and Northwest Racing Series.
Second place, Caden Anderson. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I believe that Justin Prince has made his way down, where finally he can catch up with the driver who picked up his elusive first Cup Series victory. Justin Prince is with Devin West.
Devin, you finally won in the Cup Series. You've come close a few times this season. How does it feel to be a winner in the Northwest Cup Series after what was a crazy, crazy final half of this one?
Yeah, it feels good. It definitely was elusive. I think as Caden can understand too. It always seemed like you're fast every single racing and out, and something always seemed to go wrong. So it feels good to get a win, especially tonight with so many cars showing up and Cole and Caden being as fast as they were. I would have loved to have gone a little bit more racy with them up front during the part of that race, but it always seemed to have something go wrong and restart, whether it was a random lap car coming out of the pits or a lap car locking them up and getting into me. But that was cool. I definitely enjoyed it, and it feels good to get the first win.
You may sound calm now, but what was the reaction like from you and your father as you crossed the stripe and finally broke through? Your best finish, mind you, was all the way back in April, a second place in the Roval, but several top fives along the way.
It feels pretty good. I think we both are pretty excited. Everyone on my team speak, my team, were pretty happy for me. Just break that first win, break it out, and get a monk off from back. But yeah, as soon as we had that last restart, about 4 to go, I knew Caden was going to have a long ways to go, even starting fourth, and I felt pretty good. Just hit my marks and pull away a little bit. But yeah, it was definitely nerve-wracking.
Now that you've got the first win, what's it going to take for you to continue to try and play spoiler, mind you, for these playoffs by trying to win at Charlotte?
I think just keep doing what I'm doing. I think making calls that are going to try to win me races like that one with 20 to go. And I know I have the speed. I know this is a really fast league with a lot of fast guys in it, but I can be competitive week in and week out, and just keep being there when it matters. You know, the final 15, 20 laps, and we'll start falling away a little bit.
Anyone you want to thank for your run tonight?
Yeah, all my sponsors, Kenny Customs Hardwood, Effective Web Solutions, you know, my dad, obviously, for all he does for me, Jeff, Sean from the league, also TV. You guys make it possible. I can go back and watch afterwards.
Congratulations on your first Cura Cup Series victory, Devin.
Thank you.
Devin West breaks through tonight and plays spoiler for the West Bay Napa Auto Parts playoffs at Richmond. Greg, first things first, your final thoughts on this one, because this race looked like it settled down for a little bit. Then the crazy knob got busted off the steering wheels.
Yeah, that's definitely one way to put it. This race elevated spectacularly compared to what we saw back in the spring here with Fraser's victory. Playoff racing, you see some wild stuff happen, and no doubt, again, we saw it here tonight. Devin West getting the win, but man, oh man, huge playoff implications for these drivers. And Charlotte next week, Justin, just got a whole lot more interesting.
And I'm just going to say, what are your thoughts on that for the trucks and the Cup cars, since that's the end of the first round, mind you? So pressure's going to be on for the West Bay Napa Auto Parts playoffs to make sure drivers don't make mistakes on both sides of the car.
Oh, absolutely. You're going to see, I bet you see drivers who are in and around the cutoff here. BJ Tidrick being one of them. I know he's going to do it. I bet you see drivers who are in or around the playoff cutoff right now. I bet you they enter the truck race here this weekend just for some practice. Even if they're not running the full season, they just get that extra seat time, those extra 134 laps of seat time at Charlotte to get an idea of what to expect. And I think you're going to see two very action-packed races here coming up Thursday night on LSR TV, and then a week from tonight on Monday.
By the way, points are now in for the Cup Series. At the moment, this is the breakdown for the bubble positions. Right now, Stabnow still has a decent cushion along with Seth Frazier, BJ Tidrick and company, but it shrunk a significant margin. Frazier and Tidrick are now tied on points for fourth in the standings. 3 points back is Carl Burke. 4 more is Corey Walter. So a 7-point buffer for Frazier and Tidrick. Chris White is now in the bubble. Dan Lowther, though, is now 5 points out after being just 1 point in before. Paulison needs to close up 9 points to get to the bubble spot. With Ricky Bozier, another 7 points back. John Ottenbacher, he's going to need a win and then some to have a shot. 62 points back, did not start tonight. In other words here, Greg, a lot of the drivers are a bit lucky, but their cushion to make sure they're in is gone after being up by double digits in most cases.
So Charlotte just got that much more interesting. I won't say wild because I feel like we've said that quite a bit here tonight, but man, oh man, there's no other way to describe it except for you have got to tune in next week when we hit Charlotte, North Carolina. NASCAR's home track, so we're going to see these guys going for essentially what we could call a home win here. But these playoff drivers, especially those beneath the cut line now, Lowther, Paulson, Bozier, and Ottenbacher, if he's able to make it back in, we're going to see these guys throwing the Hail Mary here, trying to get back up there.
Once again, be sure to tune in for that from America's Home for Racing, but it's time to say goodbye. I'd like to thank you for tuning in for tonight's coverage of the Northwest Cup Series and the Race 3 of Round 1 of the West Bay Napa Auto Parts Playoffs. From my broadcast partners tonight, in Wesley Otwin and Greg Rentz, for our producer Charles Wooden, I'm Justin Prince saying so long. You've been listening to tonight's action on CRN Sports and watching live on LSR TV, your home for sim racing.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of LSR TV and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of 52 Media LLC and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. LSR TV would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's